A night in with MauLer and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen dinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop up the cork, have a glass of wine, pass fail safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, MauLer and the critical drinker.
Well, alrighty, hello!
Hello!
We are here.
Yeah, right on time.
As always, yeah. Definitely not late. Never do it. Never do it. We arrive always when we mean to.
You just don't draw attention to the fact that we're late. It's fine.
I know, we're not late and we're not gay, okay? This is what we do on Open Bar.
A little bit gay. Just throw it in.
Well, yeah, occasionally. It's the weekend almost, so yeah, go for it. And it is Pride Month, so... Anyway, well, we should bring in our first, I don't know, what would you call it? It's not a guest, really. He's kind of like a co-host for this one at this point. No Open Bar would be complete without the Critical Doggo, so welcome aboard, Smokey. He is mostly alive, I think. I'll throw something at him later. Back by popular demand. His,
yes. Opinions on the last show were pretty controversial, but I think the fans really took to it, so let's just see how this one goes.
He's watched Secret Invasion, and this is his reaction, so... yeah, this is what it does to a dog. Anyway, let's get some humans in, shall we? Because we don't really count, so let's bring some of our guests in. Making his return to the Open Bar, he is a regular here. He is Mr. Gary Beckler. Hello.
Hello.
I've always wanted to say that name. I've never had a chance to say it.
I guess that's close. In our family, we can't even decide on how to pronounce it. So
I've heard Gary say it so many times that I'm like, Drinker, why are you pronouncing it like a drunk Scottish person? I was like, oh, right. It all makes sense.
Now you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, thanks for coming back on the bar. It's great to have you back, as always.
It's good to be back as the sober representation. No, I guess another guest will be sober. Maybe two. No,
I think possibly, yeah.
No.
How much does Smokey have? Are we keeping an eye on that?
Smokey's not sober. But hey, interesting takes on Andrew Tate from Smokey.
Yeah. He knows what it's about. Yeah. He knows about the Matrix. Anyway, we've got more guests to bring in, so let's bring them in. Taking a break from, well, destroying the world of comics and absolutely dominating it is Eric July. Hey, man.
What's up, man?
Hello.
Appreciate y'all having me again. This is always fun. Always fun.
No, it's great to have you back. And yeah, as I was saying just backstage there, ISOM 2 is now available to pre-order. And again, absolutely killing it. Well done, man. It's awesome to see.
Appreciate you, homie. Appreciate everybody. Obviously, we got a lot of crossover in our audience, man. These guys really came to show out. But that's already being at 1.5 million and a third of the books that we sold in the first campaign. Like we're rocking and rolling, man. So I appreciate everybody.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, you are going to spend the next 6 months packing stuff in a warehouse to ship all this out.
That's very true. That's very true. So
good problems to have, though, eh?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I can't complain at all.
Nice. And our final guest this evening, he is making his debut on the Open Bar, and he's been doing some great commentary on the state of Marvel and Disney, and just recently had a video absolutely explode talking about Ironheart and comparing it to Tony Stark. Is Mr. Jedi Brooks. Welcome to the bar, sir.
Thanks for having me. It's been a long time coming.
Hello.
Hello.
You are drinking tonight. I appreciate that.
Yeah, sorry, Gary.
All good.
One last guy.
In Drinker's world, that makes you a better person.
Balance. No, it's great to be here.
No, good stuff, man. Thank you for coming on. And, well, here we are. And I guess the first item that we're going to look at tonight is the world of box office, because it's not been going too well recently, either for Disney or for Warner. The Flash, his latest box office tallies are, oh my god, this movie is absolutely cratering. It's currently sitting at 66 million domestic and 74 million worldwide for a total, internationally, for a total of 140 million.
Too much.
It's
That
sinking
is-
like some kind of exploration vessel. Wait, I shouldn't.
Oh, no.
Oh, come on, MauLer.
Too early,
That took
man.
me a second. Ruthless.
I meant like the Titanic. That's a famous sinking thing. There you go.
Terrible.
That was a story that just seemed like it was tailor-made for a movie that was going to have a happy ending, and
No.
I've seen the jokes about a Netflix documentary being out next month. Like,
Christ. Just monetize that shit.
yeah.
there is so the Flash obviously is done pretty bad, and if you think that's bad, then Elemental is even worse. That's currently sitting at just shy of 40 million domestic and about 16 million internationally, so it's about 55.7 million worldwide against a budget of well over 200 million. That is nightmarish.
I never heard of that movie.
No one has.
Yeah,
That's
they
the problem.
clearly gave up on it. They clearly gave up on that one. But it has been great, hasn't it? I've been loving the hell out of this. I've had the best week.
When was the last time Pixar put out a hit? I mean, it's what, Toy Story 4 maybe? That's
Incredible
got to be like,
Maybe they've had 3 flops in a row.
Yeah.
I thought
That usually
someone
ends
else
The
would
worst
say put out
one
a
though,
hit.
isn't it?
that ends a studio. Batman versus Superman, which a lot of people didn't like, didn't hit $1 billion, and that caused Warner Brothers to completely freak out. And that still made almost 800 million worldwide. And you got to wonder what's going on at Disney. Hey, one of their CFOs stepped down, and they lost their diversity and inclusion officer too. Big loss.
well, yeah, I was just thinking, like, in the past few months, they've lost Victoria Alonso, who's the president of VFX at Marvel, who's basically second in command. Christine McCarthy, their CFO, and Latondra Newton, head of diversity.
And Perlmutter. So that's 4. They got rid of 4. I just think they fired Ike because they didn't like him and they needed to balance off Victoria Alonso a little bit. But yeah, that's 4 major executives gone.
Didn't all 3 of them speak out against Chapek during the whole like Florida bill thing? Like, I'm pretty sure all of them had a hand in reversing course for him.
Yeah, Latondra was behind. I forgot the name of it. That
Reimagine Tomorrow.
Reimagine Tomorrow. She was behind all of that, and I believe she was probably behind the hostage video that Bob Chapek had to shoot.
Rainbow.
That was a broken man right there.
What a way to describe it.
But I mean, I don't blame them with the kind of financial losses that they've incurred recently. I mean, when you look at what Disney's been putting out over the past 6 months to a year, it's apart from Guardians 3, that's really the only hit that they've had recently. I mean, I suppose you could count Avatar 2 in that, but that's kind of under the Fox banner. But it kind of feeds into them, but it's not really part of their brand, if you know what I mean.
It should still be said that they want higher numbers for Guardians than they got, even. Like that's still not. They would probably want to push that past $1 billion. That's the preference, but they don't get it. Not anymore.
Yeah, they spent more on it than any other Guardians film, and it's doing pretty good. Like yesterday,
850 million is it?
It's 822, but it's going to reach 850. So I mean that's pretty good. But what makes it worse is that was just a holdover from a script that was written back in 2018, and James Gunn effed off to their competition. So that absolutely makes things worse. And now he's even talking a little bit of shit about Marvel, and has been kind of very lightly. But
well, if you look at all of Phase 4, right? Black Widow, a flop. Shang-Chi, a flop. Eternals, flopped. No Way Home, big success, but they only get like a quarter of the revenue from that. Multiverse of Madness, flopped. Love and Thunder, flopped.
I'm pretty sure Multiverse of Madness did.
Yeah, I think Doctor Strange made money. But they were expecting more for that and Wakanda Forever.
Yeah,
remember they had that like $400 million opening, and then it just didn't do anything after that.
So what they're doing is they're spending, counting marketing, we'll say minimum $400 million to make $200 million. That's just not. That's not how you do business and make money.
You're effectively operating at a loss because when you do that, because you have all that for that long period of time with all the production and everything, so you can just think about how much money is sunk into a project during that period of time. You don't do that to try to get a return of $100 million. That's just not how it works. You're effectively losing money when it happens,
especially when you pay yourself on your streaming. So Thor, famously, Disney paid itself to get Thor: Love and Thunder on Disney Plus. and they counted that as income.
Multiverse of Madness, by the way, was 50 million shy of $1 billion. Like,
Yeah, no, I retract that statement about it
Yeah,
flopping. I was not aware
Doesn't
of
that
the
suck
box office.
though? That was
Well,
the one
it's
that
just
nearly made
no
$1 billion.
one
Doesn't
talked
deserve
about
it at
it.
all.
After a couple of weeks, no one was talking about it. It was just like faded from view, and yet somehow
Yeah.
it made 950 million. I mean, surprising, but there you go.
Spider-Man No Way Home had a lot to do with that.
I think
Had
so,
a
yeah.
lot to do with that.
I remember
gonna-
the theories that Tobey Maguire was going to be showing up in it. Like, there's
Oh,
some people
dude,
who
there
were
was
under
all
that impression.
kinds of there was all kinds of like all those remember Michelle Pfeiffer was supposed to show up in Flash. We hear all this crap all the time, and everything's an afterthought. And what did we say, MauLer, when No Way Home came out? The worst
They're not gonna
lesson they're going to learn is cameos. They're going to
Well,
just
it's 'cause,
put cameos and everything.
There's already people putting together like reports, threads, and different videos and stuff about all the shit that we know they did that we didn't see in that film. Like, there's loads of evidence of different, photo shoots and different comments from different people all over the place. To be fair, this applies to all of like Marvel and Disney's projects. A lot of just new and expensive stuff, anyway. But the Flash, particularly, you can already tell from having watched the movie. You're like, oh yeah, there's probably a billion different ideas they had for cameos.
Frankenstein
Cameos
movie.
everywhere.
I was just thinking as well, like when we're talking about the box office and what we have lined up, right? Because we talked about Phase 4 there, but if you look briefly at Phase 5 for Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania made 476 million. That's definitely lost them millions upon millions of dollars.
100%.
Guardians 3, it's currently sitting apparently at 823 million, which is all right. That's not bad. But it's like you say, it's a holdover script that they can't exploit any further because that's really the end of the Guardians franchise. So that's really the end of the line for them.
That's the worst one to make money for them.
Yeah, the
They
great
can't have
irony
to do anything
here.
with it now.
Well, so in all of Phase 4 and 5 as it looks right now, the worst two projects to make money the most out of all is Spider-Man and Guardians.
Yeah. The next up, we've got the Marvels. Well, I think we can predict that's not going to be a big money maker for them.
Yeah.
No.
$4.
But then you've got Deadpool. Deadpool 3 has been moved up, but I think that'll do fine. I don't think it's going to be a huge moneymaker because it's probably going to be an R-rated one, isn't it? If it follows in the Deadpool tradition.
Should be, but the thing is now they're a little scared now. I'd say that making these movies, and they might want to go a safer route.
Which will be
Nah,
then
nah,
they'll
spending
lose the
$200
thing that made
million.
Deadpool good.
What was the budget for Deadpool 1? Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad. It was like 70 million. Something
It
like
was
that.
lower,
Oh
yeah.
my god.
Yeah, it was and massively profitable movie. Joker
What?
50 million.
That's what I was about to say this whole time. I was trying to say, why haven't they learned from movies like Joker and Deadpool? Just lower the budget, focus on quality, and like the return is just so much more, like
Yeah,
I just don't understand.
So much easier when you get into the realms of like 200
200 million,
250 million plus marketing. Like you're getting crazy numbers then that you have to pull in just to
You have
break
to
even.
basically make $1 billion in order for that movie to get a legitimate return that you feel good about. If you're going to spend 200 on the production, you got to make $1 billion. It has to be $1 billion film.
And why do they put that pressure on themselves? It's crazy.
Well, it's all because of the 2019, that golden year where they could put out anything and make over $1 billion.
Oh,
It's a
yeah,
wonderful time.
They were swimming in investor money. They were
Screwed
starting
right
up
back in.
streaming service. So it was all startup, and then they got that false bump from COVID, and then the consequences started setting in. People started getting out, and it can't be left unsaid that Hollywood's collective act over the last 3 years has cost them billions. They've alienated half the country at this point, and it's showing in all their boxes. The few films that don't take this path of, like, even Samuel Jackson went out and just, his show sucked.
What an idiot, man.
Oh, we'll get to that soon enough. Don't worry.
How would he say that? Come on, Sam.
Idiot,
So
man.
effing
Fucking
stupid.
fool.
But, I didn't like Avatar 2, but we didn't see any of that crap with Avatar 2. We didn't see any of that crap with Super Mario Brothers. We didn't see any of that crap with Top Gun or Spider-Man No Way Home, and they all were hits. You'd think they would learn from that, but no. We're going to get so much more of it until this just completely dies. And I reported a bunch of times that the ticket sales, and so is Ryan I got to give my boy Ryan from RK Outpost credit on this. Ticket sales have dropped 50% since 2018 to the point in 2019 they stopped reporting ticket sales. I think they just started doing that again. But actual ticket sales are down at 40 to 50% across the board.
I think, the superhero genre, right, has gone from like a permissive market where they will welcome anything, like you say, the 2019, 2020 era of like Endgame, where you were just printing money, to like it went then to neutral to now kind of adversarial, where you have to work really hard now to get the audience's interest.
You actually have to
And
make a good story. That's the
but the thing is, they're not used to working hard, and so they're just not producing things at the quality level that they need to. And I think out of the last 6 superhero movies across DC and Marvel, like 4 of them I think have flopped. You had Quantumania, you had Black Adam, Shazam 2. All 3 of them have flopped. You know, you had Guardians that's done well. The Flash has flopped epically. It's not a welcoming market now. It's getting tighter and tighter on
Blue Beetle's going to flop massively.
Of course.
Aquaman 2 flop massively.
Yep.
The Marvels is going to flop massively. And that's 3 more before you reboot your DCEU. And now you have everything delayed. And even though they moved up Deadpool, remember, they announced Deadpool's release date. Then they moved it back. Now they moved it up, and I promise you they will move it back because the actors go on strike possibly in 8 days.
Yep.
And on top of all of that, in as much as 3 to 4 years, they're going to try and give us an Endgame multiverse story with a bunch of characters no one likes, with a villain that they may have to recast and probably have.
Look at this now, right? For the remainder of Phase 5, we've got Captain America: The Brave New World, right? I don't know if Anthony Mackie can really sell this as Captain America. No. Like, he was great as Falcon, but it's like people are not going to welcome him as Captain America.
I'm not actually sure if Chris Evans having a 4th Captain America movie would make it right now. I'm not actually sure.
It's actually a good point.
Then you've got Thunderbolts
at this point.
Well, he's also alienated half the audience as well.
He's done his part
because he cannot shut his fucking mouth when it comes to politics.
But that's what happened, right? That was I think that's the shift that people lose sight of. It's like, for whatever reason, actually, we know kind of definitely post Donald Trump, like these guys just went on whatever tirades that they went on, and just, I mean, you were shitting out $1 billion films, and you went from that to like immediately signaling, like how to go from that to the like Endgame, even to the Eternals. I don't understand how you could fuck that up like that, because at that point you couldn't do any wrong. So, you know, that was on them. They went out of their way to fuck this up. It wasn't the fatigue in itself. It was y'all went out of y'all way to screw this up, and they deserve all the credit for that.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. They worked very hard at it, Eric, and they succeeded in turning billions into millions.
Yep. And tell me, who's excited for Thunderbolts?
I know that is
my favorite. The best question to ask any Marvel fan of any stripe, any kind, anywhere is: you're looking forward to seeing Ghost again, just to see them go. What?
I know.
What do you mean?
Ghost was like, that's why I said Wasp and Ant-Man, and that's what I call it, was like the precursor to the MCU, because it was the first time it's like, ooh, is the villain's a guy? Oh my god, it's a woman! And you know,
and then they give her the most wishy-washy, like she's actually a good person overall, like kind of backstory.
Yeah.
It's such crap. Like that, that was a real moment of like, oh, I feel like they're trying to do something really weird here, and it doesn't work at all.
Was that really the origin of that? Because they just been doing that with every fucking character. It's crazy.
Yeah. Ghost.
Like you can guarantee if there's a female villain, like she will absolutely be a good guy overall.
It's pretty bad too. If you guys remember, in the story, it's something like they're getting Michelle Pfeiffer back, and Ghost is like, "Nah, fuck that. I need to attach to the quantum to get the tism out of it to save myself." And Lawrence Fishburne is like, "You can't do that. It'll kill her." And she's like, "I don't care." And it's like, oh shit, she's kind of an evil piece of shit. And then by the end of the movie, she's like one of their friends.
Wait. Did you say attach to the quantum to get the tism?
I don't fucking know.
What's the solution? These are important instructions, Gary.
Why don't you tell me what actually happened? Because
Who fucking knows what happens in these movies? It's clear as an explanation as we're gonna get.
Yeah, none of it makes any sense.
Yeah. Don't forget to ask on the movie that most gets forgotten.
Was it the autism realm?
Possibly.
Can someone explain The Flash to me? I just finished it like 5 minutes ago. I don't know what the fuck happened in that movie. He put a baby in a microwave, and I just tuned out like the rest of
I don't think even the writers knew what happened in that movie.
Nobody knows.
It was classic DC though. Like all the problems that DC have had in terms of like telling stories and making movies were exemplified in that movie. It was chaotic. It was completely unfocused. Like it was overloaded with like, you know, headache-inducing CGI where there's just shit exploding and lightning everywhere and everything's bright red and stuff. Yeah, just ugly. It's an assault on the eyes. And yeah, just a bunch of cameos thrown in for no reason.
Ripper, I watched your thing in one sitting, and like I laughed my ass off. But the Flash, it took me like 3 parts to get through that shit, man. I had to just take breaks for the sake of my eyes. I'm not gonna make it to open bar if I fucking have an aneurysm watching this shit. Yeah, terrible movie, man.
It's one of the most hated superhero things since the newest superhero thing being Secret Invasion. So it's
we'll get to Secret Invasion in a minute for sure.
It's not a consensus, but I've gotten more comments than usual. It's like, usually I can't stand you, but you're spot on about the Flash. It's like, man, appreciate it.
I mean, how much impact do you think Ezra Miller's real life issues have had on this shit, or do you think people just don't care?
Has to be.
Yes, has to.
There's 2 of them. Every time you look at him, you get reminded of the bullshit.
Yeah, people don't like the guy. He's he's like the male Phoebe Waller-Bridge. There's 2 of them in there. Plus James Gunn rebooting the DCU just absolutely made all these movies useless. They're all lame ducks. They should have put them on freaking Max or whatever the hell they're calling it now and called it a day. You got to feel bad. Yes, I do. I actually feel bad for Batgirl. Couldn't have been any worse than this, dude.
Release the Adil and Bilal cut. Do it.
Cowards.
Yeah.
Curious what happened in that movie.
Well, I want to see Michael Keaton again. You know.
Yeah. Fuck it.
I posted some pictures.
He was all right.
So apparently they were at least going for the aesthetic of Tim Burton's Batman. And even Batman would come out at night. I'm not saying it's going to be good, but there was a European website that posted the pictures, so I put them up on Twitter, and WB ripped them off.
Somebody like you were suggesting there's a good idea to put Batman on the streets fighting street level criminals at night time or something. I don't know what are you talking about? I way prefer when he fights giant aliens in a desert at daytime. That's my favorite Batman environment.
That was a problem with Dark Knight Rises too, the daytime shit.
Yeah. But with this as well, it so takes away from your appreciation of seeing Michael Keaton back, because for every single fight scene, that's not Michael Keaton. That's a CGI Michael Keaton head put onto like someone else's body.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's a bit sad, It's just the ridiculous power levels changes are just nonsense as well. Like these fighting Kryptonians who can tear apart an Abrams tank without batting an eyelash, and yet you got a 70-year-old man who's like lassoing one of them and like attaching bombs to them.
Doesn't make any sense.
It's a kind of, because word of mouth as a way of promoting and supporting movies is still a thing. Like I would say that's what Puss in Boots and the Spider-Verse movies have benefited from. So if The Flash was good, like I'm trying to say, let's not beat around the bush. It was a shit script. It wasn't just because of Ezra Miller. It wasn't just because I don't even know, like all the other, like the superhero fatigue, as Drinker pointed out earlier, which I completely agree with. If a good superhero movie comes out, there's still a market for it. It's just, who the fuck's going to recommend The Flash?
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
No, you're right. Ezra Miller wasn't the problem. It wasn't a specific thing. It was a combination of things. Like all the things that Gary mentioned, like Gunn just made all of this irrelevant now at this point. And who really cares to check this out? And it's all just bait. Just cameos and nonsense, and then you top it off with the garbage CGI, and just none of it is watchable or enjoyable. A couple gear porn moments with Batman, that was nice. Supergirl wasn't that bad, she's kind of hot. I didn't have an issue with that, but that's about it. After that, I didn't know what the fuck happened. I just wanted it to end, and that's
I saw the really great comparison picture of like her in her outfit when she was like harnessed up to the rig to make her fly back from like 2020. And then, like, the present day one that you saw of her, where it was like she took a picture of herself, like, in her outfit, and she was hot as fuck. And it just said, maybe I treated you too harshly.
Legit. No, she doesn't get to, she shouldn't be thrown in the bus with all the other asshole characters that they've made. She was all right.
Yeah, she was pretty good. Yeah, I just wish she'd gotten more. I don't know, more personality of her. Like learned a bit more about her, because like she just kind of shows up and then dies. It's
in and out.
That's what I think is lame. Is they have the story right there. She was supposed to look after Clarke. She failed. That's how she feels anyway. And she's full of fury for Zod. It's like, there you go. Why don't we make the film have a little more time on that? That'll be. Oh, she's dead.
You know what made me laugh?
Honestly,
right?
you're right. I was paying attention. That was the one part I actually cared.
You know the bit that made me laugh was like Ben Affleck talking about his like 3-minute role that he had in this movie. Like, oh, it's the first time that I really think they got the character and like they really represented him properly. And I thought, what the fuck? Like, were you talking about a different movie? Because all I saw was you in a really cheap looking bat suit that looked like garbage in the middle of the day, like bright lights and everything. It was all shiny. And yeah, like then you had like one conversation with Barry and then fucked off, and you even had the bit with the lasso of truth where you're like, oh, you know, if I'm using this crime fighting thing to compensate for my like lack of confidence in myself and all that bullshit.
I felt like Justice League. Totally.
That's a Joss meme, and no one liked it when he did it either. So it's like,
I
totally forgot Wonder Woman was even in this movie until you mentioned that part. Yep. It just blacked out on all that.
I'm mad at Chris Gore though, because he said there's a bit where you like properly see up like her skirt, and I must have missed it because I did not notice that. And
I didn't notice it either, but maybe Chris was.
Drinker's gonna get his science team on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a team of top men to analyze every frame of this movie.
Like for the story, and you're like, yeah.
There's one specific scene I want you to concentrate on, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Well,
that's I have to watch it again to take my son. That's the only thing I'm trying to look for. Gal Gadot's ass, or for fake one, whatever.
You think if you've got her available, like, why just have her in a 2-minute cameo? Like, make use of her.
Maybe that was already pushing how much they had her for. She came in for like 10 minutes, and she was like, "If you want another 10 minutes, that's another $1 million."
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Because, dude, that cameo was hilarious. There's people screaming, there's fires, there's car crashes, there's that whole building, a literal hospital has crashed, and then she's like, "My work is done," and flies away. Okay.
She's such a crappy superhero. She's just terrible at her job.
And that's probably the last we'll ever see of her. It's kind of crazy.
She doesn't have a cameo in Aquaman or anything like that.
I don't know, dude. I don't know what the fucking end credits of that shit will be either.
Yeah.
Oof.
Nobody is going to see that movie.
It'll be fun to take bets on the box office of that one, because at this point, I don't know, everything's up in the air, man.
It might be the worst turnaround from a film that I think it made $1 billion or close to.
It did. It made $1 billion. I think
it made $1 billion to flop.
Yeah, somebody needs to track that. That's actually interesting.
Yeah.
I legit do not understand how the first one made $1 billion. Like, that movie was pure garbage.
Soccer moms and Momoa. Come on now.
There's that. There's also just a lot of people maybe assuming it was like a part of the Marvel universe. It's just been like, let's go for the next one.
It was just better times, you know. People.
That was the opposite of superhero fatigue times, where it's just like superheroes everywhere. Woohoo! Because I mean, we all see it as a bit of a relief at this point that they're not doing as well in the box office. Like, yes, with this, the tides of change shall arrive. Get some other movies like Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to be one of the few highlights of the year, I think, box office wise, because
I think so.
Like Oppenheimer, it'll be a good movie. I just don't think it's got mass appeal. Like, not many people are going to go along to see like some historical epic with a very clinical director.
The people who fund that kind of project feels like they're taking one for the team. It's like, you're not getting your money back, right?
The only thing
the
only thing that turned me off is Nolan just did an interview, and I love Nolan, I do. And he was very proud of his film. He's always showed it to people, and it will leave you emotionally devastated. It's like a horror film. We get into McCarthyism. I'm like, really?
McCarthyism was way after the Manhattan Project as well. That was the 50s, wasn't it? Like, the Cold War wasn't even a thing in the 40s.
Story of his life, as I guess. Yeah, that's why I was like, what the hell? And then, just I could recommend a couple of Razorfist videos if you want to know about McCarthy.
I just want Nolan to write me some characters. I'm begging you, Nolan, this time, please.
It's been a while.
Just want some characters.
Give us people with actual personalities. That'd be nice.
Please. You've got so many good actors. You always do. Just let them.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be a big earner at the box office, but Mission Impossible, I think, has got a good shot at making $1 billion.
I feel like that's going to be on everyone's top 5 list for this year.
I'm with Tom Cruise. I want that in IMAX. I don't give a shit about any of the other things.
He's one of the only reliable people left. Like, you can trust that it's at least going to be fun.
I think there's going to be a lot of enthusiasm for Tom Cruise movies after Top Gun Maverick as well. Like I think people
He's
still
gonna be-
kind of remember it.
He's gonna be king of Hollywood, and he might be able to get some crazier projects going just on his name, and it'll literally resurrect the concept of the fucking movie star.
Mhm.
Well, I think the action movie, as Drinker said, is coming back. I think it's like absolutely coming back. For one, it's cheaper. It's a lot cheaper, and I think there is a hunger to actually just be entertained. And one of the easiest things to make is an action movie, as a kick-ass action movie. And there just hasn't been a lot of testosterone in Hollywood lately. Let's be real about this. And I think it's going to make a comeback, or independent people will make it, because Sisu cost 6 million euros.
Yep.
Six
That's
effing
insane.
million euros. That is amazing.
And I was a million times more entertained by that than I was by The Flash, which cost like 100 times as much to make. It's ridiculous, but that's where we're at now. Same with Extraction 2. Really good fun movie, like very impressive fight sequences. Obviously quite over the top, but it's an action flick. It's what you'd expect, and it's what you want. And I think Hemsworth is really transitioning into that action hero role. Like him and Chris Pratt are both moving onto it.
Genuinely, fuck playing Thor at this point.
Yeah, they all should.
Yeah,
that guy's got way too much potential to just fuck around with Thor.
I think he's fucking done with Thor as well. Like he said as much.
That's the only Phase 4 movie that I literally couldn't finish. I just had to turn it off like 40 minutes in. I felt bad for Chris. I felt like, what the fuck am I looking at? It's just
a tough one, yeah.
It's just such a waste, man. And I'm not even a huge Thor fan, but he really won me over in Infinity War. Like all the shit with Rocket, and just where the fuck was Punish Thor? And then we get Fat Thor, and then Fuckface in whatever the hell it was called, Taika Waititi's Fever Dream. Like it just, I don't know, such a missed opportunity.
I feel like that movie did a lot of damage to Taika Waititi's reputation because it really exposed him as just like a clown.
I wouldn't put it past Marvel to try and turn Thor into a Tyler Rake type character now. They'll be like, let's bank on that. Let's make Thor like guns now. Just be like, yeah, whatever. They always take the wrong lessons, so we'll see what happens next with that.
Wasn't it so weird just to see a movie with guns in it, and there wasn't like some weird attempt to apologize for like, you know, violence and explosions and like just self-deprecating humor? It was like, no, it's just a straight up action movie with Extraction. I was like, wow, I've really missed this. I've really missed this in Hollywood, and man, I think there's an appetite for more of this for sure.
Good shit. I haven't seen them yet, but I'm definitely gonna check them out. I want to see him play something other than Thor and like actually see what he can do.
He's a decent actor. That's the thing. Like he can pull off these.
That's what I mean.
Like,
he proved that to me. Like in Infinity War, I was really impressed when I thought he was just gonna be like, you know, kind of. Never really was impressed with him in the beginning, like the Avengers and whatnot. But he blew me away with his range, and I just thought he could actually do so much more than what they've done with him.
That's the thing with the MCU. Back when it wasn't horrible, people would have said like Thor and Hulk need work because Iron Man and Cap are doing great. They've got like really solid and understandable through lines. They've got really detailed arcs and histories. But you know, Hulk's all over the place, keeps switching focuses on whoever's got control over him. And then of course Thor, it's like, they threw away Thor 1 and 2 when they made Ragnarok pretty much in terms of the direction they're taking him. And then Infinity War like drags him back into being serious, which I loved as a decision. I thought it was brilliant. And then those same fuckers made Endgame. Destroyed everything.
Endgame. Many things from Endgame just like, man, I'm really starting to hate that movie just because of how many things it messed up. Like I'm happy Tony got like a nice outing, and like, you know, I Love You 3000 is cute and all. But Endgame fucked up so much that just it's hard to ever get back.
It was a terrible decision.
You know, when heading into Guardians 3, it's annoying to remember that the reunion Star-Lord and Gamora had was her kicking him in the nuts. It's
Why?
Why
would they do that?
Why does that keep happening in these fucking movies?
Man get kicked in balls is funny. Yeah,
they do it a lot. They think it's really funny.
What? There's got to be a compilation at this point. Loki and the chick, Lady Loki.
I've made a few.
Yeah, Shang-Chi got kicked in the balls as well.
He got nutted too.
His own movie gets kicked in the balls by his sister, and is like basically his second fight in that little octagon thing.
Oh my god! Why? I didn't even bother with Shang-Chi. Like Eternals and Shang-Chi, those are the two that I just skipped. Black Widow, I'm still pissed off about. Like, I'm with you. I'm with you, MauLer, completely. Like, I might have just forgot that movie, but then her smashing her fucking nose over the table. I'm never gonna forget that to the day I die. Like, one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in terms of how many villains have we seen being defeated? All of us together, from cartoons to comics to whatever. I can't think of something as fucking stupid as Sever the Nerve. It just it wrecks my fucking brain.
It's something else. Like
face,
they
too,
must
like,
have surely they must have thought for a second, right? The optics of watching Scarlett Johansson smack her face into a fucking table to break her own nose. It's gonna look stupid no matter how we try and frame this. Like,
and the 37 cuts to see her get down to the table just to make
Yeah.
sure she doesn't get hurt. It was so shit.
And Rachel Weisz being the real villain, just being
Yeah.
completely forgiven after subjugating hundreds of women,
The chick was a
Yep.
goblin. Absolute
torturing
fucking-
animals.
Choking the
torturing
pig.
animals.
Yeah, she was
That's
terrible.
cool. Yeah.
Someone
Well, it's this thing they keep doing. Sometimes I wonder if they even know, like, because she was one of the worst monsters we've had in terms of quote unquote good guys.
Mhm.
But you remember, like, how in Quantumania Scott is criticized for not focusing on being a hero, instead being a dad. People are like, you know, idiot, you should be saving more people. You've saved the world, writing a book. And he literally says at the beginning of the film, I want to focus on being a dad. And it's just like weird. He's getting so much criticism for it. Later on, we discover that the whole reason the multiverse is almost destroyed because Michelle Pfeiffer won't tell anybody the truth is because she wants to be a mum. She wants to hang out with her daughter and be a mum. And what happens when she explains that? All the characters are like, oh.
It's
Yeah.
so fucked up, man. The double standards. This is, it's oh my god, it drives me nuts, man.
You do wonder, you're like, what the fuck? What
It's like, and they'll never understand why people are getting increasingly pissed off with their movies. It's because of shit like this
Yeah.
that you keep trying to push on us again and again, and you don't recognize where you're going wrong, and then you just keep doing it.
And now in Secret Invasion, it's Nick Fury's fault that a civilization that's more technically
Oh my
advanced than ours can't find another planet.
Gary, you know
Why
what's
they
so
blame
funny?
them?
Well, I was gonna talk a little bit about this because the reviews have come in for Secret Invasion. I know a couple of you guys have seen it already, and I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. But I was gonna give you some of the thoughts from the professional shills. I mean, critics,
do it.
and because you can always trust them to give a balanced opinion. So Rolling Stone had this to say: none of it really works. The tone is too dour, especially since there's precious little tension or any suspense to any of it. USA Today says fails in its aspirations to be Marvel for adults, mostly because it's difficult to figure out what's going on in any given scene.
That's true.
The Globe and Mail says the chases are slow, the explosions are meh, the entire pace and tempo is sluggish. The real folly of Secret Invasion is that it compels the best actors in any Marvel series so far to squirm while delivering soul-deadening expository dialogue. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pumped to see it now.
Pretty accurate.
Jesus.
The acting is atrocious.
Yeah, it's
in
so lazy.
it. Yeah.
Dude, everything. Well, so I was going to say, you know what's so funny about this particular project? If you want to know whether or not it really truly makes sense and is well written, you're going to need to refresh yourselves on Captain Marvel.
Yes!
That's essentially the sequel to this.
It's
the other way around.
100%. It's Captain Marvel sequel where it's like, who the fuck? Oh no, I
Yep,
can't. I've tuned all you people out of my
Nope.
brain. I try to remember any of this crap.
It's fucking like, oh shit, who was Talos? Who were the Skrull? What the fuck was everyone doing? Gee,
Yeah,
I gotta remind
motivations and
myself. Yeah. Which is
Crap.
painful. And the more you remember, the less this show makes sense again.
Oh.
It's just like,
Mhm.
ugh.
My favorite part is when Nick Fury comes back and he talks to I'm blanking on his name now, Ben Mendelsohn. And then Ben Mendelsohn tells Nick Fury his story. He's all, let's talk about you. And then he just recaps what Nick Fury has been doing.
Yeah.
Well, Nick Fury was there, so I don't know why he's talking to Nick Fury about what he has been doing when he's there.
This is
Let me give you a summary of your own life.
With some exposition.
It's just
So,
lazy as fuck. It's so frustrating to watch.
essentially by pure coincidence. Like, I didn't do this on purpose, but myself, Fringin' Rags, watched The Faculty, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Invasion, and there was a fourth movie that relates to, like, you know, stealing identities from humans. So when we were starting this up, we were like, oh shit, we're like fully prepared because we've had all these stories that are really like interesting and fun in relation to how the world gets taken over by people who are stealing our identities and our personalities and stuff. And literally, as soon as it started, it was like, here's Everett Ross, and he's going to a secret meeting. All three of us were like, he's a Skrull.
He's a Skrull. Yeah.
He's a Skrull, and it's like, why would you say that? And it's like, because he's not going to be in the whole fucking show. He's too famous. Like, they would have to pay a shit ton, and they're going to try and do a shocking, like, he'll get shot or thrown somewhere or killed, and they'll be like, oh, he was a Skrull, don't you worry. And my God, we're allowed to do full spoilers, right?
Yeah, spoiler away.
Gary, did you notice they CG'd his fall and his wounds? It was so distracting. It's like you couldn't put blood makeup on him.
Yeah, I know. I
Seriously?
was like, oh my, because I was actually watching that in the home theater. I'm like, oh my God, this ass.
I actually don't understand, because we see him a couple of times before he turns into a Skrull. It's not like you see him once with the wounds and then he's a Skrull. So it's like, oh, that's why it's CG. Several shots where he's on the floor, like, oh God, it's just CG blood. It looks awful.
And I don't care if you're a Skrull. You're falling from that far. You're mush. Okay,
you're dead.
like for one, him surviving that fall was ridiculous.
Well,
Yeah,
they seem to
maybe
have retconned it. Skrulls now are like Superman. They can punch doors open and shit. I was like, that's not what they could do in fucking Captain Marvel.
Yeah, they completely. They have this super soldier serum now. Like, what's going on here? Daenerys is just like bodying people. Like, I have no idea. Like, they can definitely change that. It wasn't.
To remind
it wasn't
everybody,
Captain Marvel.
Fury had a one-on-one fight with a Skrull in the first film. How the fuck is that going to happen if he's just a human at that point? Like, I was really confused. Like, did I miss something? Did they all get super?
No, MauLer, you
charged?
accidentally did more research than any Marvel writer in the history of Disney Plus did. That's what you did.
Something I gotta let you guys know about. Someone linked me this. It was this is from. It was either what's his name? Something Peyton, the guy who does the Ant-Man movies.
Peyton Reed.
Peyton Reed. I think it was him, or it was the writer for Quantumania, Jeff Loveness. It was one of those two. But they were talking about Randall Park, who plays Wu in the MCU universe. He's in a couple of other things, and they were like, "Oh man, you know, he was great in that in the Scarlet Witch show. I think he was in that." And I was like, "What? Like, you don't know the name of it?
Who knows?
You don't even know if he was in it when he's like a main character." I was like, "What? You guys? It's actually
It's like Taika Waititi being very excited to bring Natalie Portman into Star Wars for the first time.
Yeah, clueless.
Like, we joke about it, but it's like actually gone to the point where none of them actually care. And it's like, geez, can you hire someone who just watches some of the stuff they're making stories about, please? It's bad enough they don't read the source, but now they're not even fucking watching the movies. Like, what the hell?
You know what? Like, was the real red flag for me? The fact that Emilia Clarke's going to be in this. Because this girl has gone from fucking Terminator, which she killed. She's then gone to Star Wars, like the one movie in Star Wars history that's lost money, and now she's into Marvel, a dying brand. Like, Jesus.
She's a plague.
She said she's quoted saying this is the best grand like IP universe she's been a part of out of all of them.
I'm honestly surprised she's not in Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah.
At this point.
That'll be the next Lucasfilm project to lose money, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I will say I feel a little bit bad for it, because I've always thought she's just been miscast over and over and over again.
You've literally been saying that for ages. I felt the same way, where they always have her playing this strong female character, where she's, if you actually like see her best roles, like rom-coms, those different type of things, like actually trying to get more out of her personality instead of forcing her into this box that she doesn't fit in. It works for Daenerys in some degrees, but I'm tired of her just being completely like stereotyped.
She's a weird one because
was the cosmic mistake.
That was a terrible choice. The problem is, I mean, I like her and I think she's a nice person and not a bad actress. I just don't know what her niche is. Like, I don't know what I'd put her in. No, it's not action, and it's not like, you know, tense thrillers or anything. Like, I don't know, like rom-coms or something. Yeah. Like something light and breezy, I suppose.
If you see her in interviews, she's really nice. She's really bubbly. She just get her in the right type of rom-com situation, and like I think she could do work with that. Like, people like her, like utilize that, but they keep putting her in bullshit, and it's tainting her career.
Don't let her write comics either.
Yeah.
She wrote.
Didn't she make that weird one with the period fucking
what?
What?
Yeah. Powers, mom. Yes.
Huh?
Weird. Yeah.
I
forgot about that. Yeah.
Is this something I don't want to know? Should I tune
you don't
want you don't want to know.
Look it up, but you don't want to know.
Right. Please save Emilia.
So, to try and, I mean, because I really wanted to ask Gary about this.
Armpit hair. Yeah. I think so.
You know the paranoid sort of stereotype that Ross meets at the beginning, Gary? The one who's got all of his notes on the wall and
that was killing me. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
So when we were watching it, and Ross enters the room, and he was like, "I know the Skrulls," blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "Oh, so you got to check Ross if he's a Skrull," which is easy, by the way. Pinprick. What blood color do they have? Is it green or red? That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
And he gives all the information and his precious evidence before going, "Wait a minute. Are you a Skrull?" It's like, you fucking suck. What kind of paranoid, schizophrenic nightmare person who's like obsessively looking over all this evidence, doesn't sleep, has a friend he hasn't seen in a while come in the room who's like, "I'm interested in knowing everything you know. Give me all of the things that I need." That doesn't go, you might be a Skrull.
First thing you would have done. Test
How
him.
effing stupid Disney Marvel is, and they're just doomed. They're never going to figure this out because the Skrulls are one of the better villains, one of the OG villains, and you can do this unreliable narrator. You can do all kinds of crazy shit that would have been good and fun with the heroes that Marvel is known for, like Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, who are all gone now. And just newsflash to anybody out there, that's what Marvel is. Marvel is basically 5 or 6 characters, and the X-Men. But this B, C, Z team that they're coming out with now, nobody's going to give a shit, and it's such a waste because that could have been a great thing to follow up Thanos. Is the Skrulls, and the Skrulls could have led to something else, and you didn't need to make 50 TV shows or whatever. And they've wasted it.
They
Now
fucked that up. They
It's a
fucked
cool
that whole
concept.
situation up with the it could have been a nice little nod to like source material as well if they really wanted to utilize that the Skrulls, but they fucked them up in Captain Marvel, like, which is essentially the introduction. You know what I mean? So they got off to the wrong start, which goes to show that they don't really have people that are like really part of these projects that seem to be even remotely knowledgeable on the stories that people actually gave a fuck about in these books. They, for whatever reason, they'll use characters from them, but it's a reason why. In that, again, to me, the most despicable thing that they'd ever done was what they did to Marvel and fucking Captain Marvel. Like that, I was done with the fucking universe by then because I'm like, this is insulting. Like, this is, when you consider how the importance of that character to Marvel as a brand, with the first fucking graphic novel they ever produced, and Death of Captain Marvel is huge. Like they fucked that up, but the idea of the Skrulls could have been their ticket, right, to like correcting fucking mistakes. You know what I mean? A lot of mistakes, but they dropped the ball on that. They just said fuck it. So now it seems that their introduction is more so just been, it's not even a legitimate plot device. It's just like, here's a bunch of people that we know can shapeshift and shit, and that's really it. It's not, they're not using it in any way that anybody, to me, that's knowledgeable on the source material would do.
And
you know how you could have fixed Ghost? Make her a Skrull.
Yep, you could have fixed so many problems, so many of the issues that people had.
So much retcon.
Actually,
there's a lot of things.
Gary, when we started watching this episode, my suggestion for a good choice of Skrull, I was like, probably make Maria Hill a Skrull, because she's not been in that much of it, but she's in enough that we can draw it back far enough. So you can make up some stuff.
How would they know Everett Ross? And how is Everett Ross part of SHIELD or Saber or any organization when he was freed by Wakanda at the end of Wakanda Forever? So I don't know where it sits in the timeline. And how would they know? Well, they would need somebody like Maria Hill on the inside.
Dude, Gary, when the episode opened with present day, I fucking laughed. I was like, when the hell is that? I have no idea when it's taking place.
Apparently, the present day is 2025. That's what I heard.
Really?
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's kind of funny though, because like simultaneously I don't know, but I also don't give a shit.
Yeah.
At this point, it's like the chronology of this whole thing's fucked beyond belief. I don't care anymore. Like, I know I'm probably never going to see Secret Invasion because I've burned out now with these TV shows. I just don't care enough to even watch it. And I'm fine with that.
You might not, when Secret Wars comes along, you're probably not going to want to watch it in 2030 or whenever the hell it is.
I checked out the first episode of Secret Invasion, and pretty much to summarize it, he's Kenobi. Like, he's an old man who doesn't have it anymore. He's a bum. Don't worry about him. He can't even see. He can't even walk. Fuck that guy. It's just, why do we have to do this? It's like
they've also
that's their go-to for any aging male character. It's like, yeah, he's old and he's sad and he's given up on everything he once believed in, and he needs someone else to pull him out of it.
They've done it again where they recontextualize writing gaps as flaws for a character. Now, to give you an example, Falcon the Winter Soldier, when Sharon Carter came back, they were like, wow, why did everyone ditch you? And she's like, because you all forgot about me because you're all horrible people or whatever. And they're like, wow, we're sorry we forgot about you. It's like, no, the writers just didn't fucking account for her in Endgame. Nobody remembered her. So they put it on the characters, and they're doing the same in this. Hey, the Skrulls don't have a home. They're not safe, even though Fury 30 years ago said he'd take care of it. What happened? He's like, I failed. I was like, what?
So maybe there's going to be some specific island that's really pissed off about the giant celestial that's in the middle of the ocean that nobody fucking talked about for 5 movies.
Yeah.
I just think, no, the writers just didn't do fuck all. It's not that. Why would Fury, of all people, not be able to find a group of Skrulls somewhere to settle down on Earth? And then I was like, wait a minute. They had the stupid light speed engine traveling machine thing that could take them all over the galaxy.
Yeah.
They couldn't find
Sit on
any
their
other
head.
planet.
They are more
any other
technically
planet.
advanced. They've got the little brain erase thing that you know, like, okay, but you can't find a planet. And
Lazy
they're
fuckers.
by the way, they're still an immigration allegory, Eric. They haven't changed that.
Yeah.
And by the way, guess where they found a place to stay? I forgot what recent movie I saw, but of course we know it from the Snyder Cut. Is an abandoned Russian nuclear power plant is now becoming the favorite place for the bad guys to go.
Sounds about right.
And it looks like
Is this literally just because Chernobyl on HBO was really popular?
Yes.
It's like we just have to exploit that
Dude,
somehow.
Dude,
that is how
Drinker,
simple Hollywood is. You hit the nail on the head.
they mention that is a reality, that they know the Skrulls are going to be hiding out in some abandoned power plant. And so we were like, oh, well, then you're going to find them pretty easily then, because there's a limited amount of those. And they're like, but we don't know where any of them are, because they're off the maps. You know, just who knows where the abandoned power plant. It was like, what? You have no idea where any of the power plants are? What the fuck? I was like, since when was that true? I figured, how do you, because power plants still often have like towns surrounding them.
Well,
Like, it's
they're
pretty hard to
kind of
scrub
big.
them.
Dude, there is
Unless they're
no
buried under mountains or something. Yeah.
Russian nuclear power plant that America doesn't know where it is. Okay, that's just
Seems unlikely, yeah.
That's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah,
But-
so when you watch Guardians movies, right, and you see thousands of fucking planets that are all inhabitable, the idea that these stupid Skrulls couldn't find anywhere other than Earth, and so now they're just going to take over it, it's like, ugh.
They make them
retarded.
useless just to make a point about him being, you know,
Well, and this is
acting anything.
it's clearly a new idea too, because when you watch Far From Home at the end credit scene, Fury's fine. He's working
Yeah.
with Saber, and he's
That's
competent.
what was so confusing. He looked like he was actually Prime Fury. He was doing, you know, he's doing his thing, and then suddenly he's this bum with a beard who's
I
limping
know.
off the
And they're
fucking-
acting
When did that happen?
They're acting like it's been years. It's like, well, it's only been a couple years. It's only been like 2 years. They make it sound like it's been 8 or 10.
It's that shit where some writer was like, I want to tell this story. It's like, you can't. It's like, fuck you. Like,
He's like,
okay,
bro,
then.
remember, Fury got blipped.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
well, for 5 years he was blipped.
Oh, well,
really
Gary,
wasn't his
Gary.
The
fault.
blip changed him or something.
Oh, the blip changed him.
Yeah.
Oh, the blip.
Yeah, we
more
get told
defensive now.
by several characters explicitly, Drinker, that Fury has been changed by the blip.
A
That's what
super
he-
spy who's renditioned people, killed people, lied, stolen, is broken by the blip.
That reminds me of the stupid people who said Boba Fett got changed by the Sarlacc pit. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
fuck
what the fuck was that? Like, come on now. The coat is just fascinating.
Again, like as you say, Mo, are just using like new characterization to excuse terrible writing. Like that's all it is.
They got a new idea and they're putting it on this guy, no matter who the fuck he is. And this thing, once again, they've chosen the worst arc for the worst fucking character. Like, why the hell would Fury have like PTSD from being blipped? And they make it explicit. It's like, yeah, a threat he couldn't take on. It's like that is literally his whole fucking life. He takes on threats that he can't. beat.
They have genuinely taken one of the coolest, most interesting characters and turned him into a joke. Like it all started with Captain Marvel with the cat scratching out his eye, and it's just gone downhill from there.
Well, there's this moment
There's
where
a
he's
cat.
like, he's staring off a little bit, and then they play the flashback of him in Infinity War getting blipped. And I was like, why are you even bothering? That clip, he has the Fury reaction where he's like seeing himself literally be fucking evaporated, and he goes, "Oh, motherfucker!" Like that is a Fury reaction where he's like, the reason he's angry is I can no longer do anything. I'm dead now. Shit. He's not having a moment of like, oh. I've been killed. Oh no! Like,
Yeah, you're completely
Yeah,
right.
for a man like him, dying is just like part of the game. Like he's
absolutely
100% okay with it.
He's the character that when they're shot, like other people are like, "Are you okay?" And it's like, "Shut up, we got to keep moving." Like,
Exactly.
you know, who cares?
They don't understand what type of character he is. You're totally right. That expression is totally not a panic, like, oh my god, I'm dead. He can't do his duty now. He wants to help. He wants to do everything he can.
Yeah, he was hoping he wouldn't get blipped, and he was like, "Ah,
Exactly.
shit, I'm one of the ones that did." Fuck.
God damn it! Now I'm annoyed. That's a really good point.
You know what's been great though? Samuel L. Jackson has been speaking out quite a bit about the show and like his experiences on it, and just politics and the world in general. Like he's been saying a lot over the past like week or so, probably more than he should, because it's just really alienating his audience at this point, But he did give us some great insight into his experiences working with Brie Larson. Basically saying, and of course it goes back to Trump getting elected, because everything goes back to Trump getting elected. Even now, like what, 7 years later, they're still talking about it. They can't get over it.
What was life before Trump? I don't know.
Who knows? Like it literally, that was the blip for him and for everyone else. Like it's like it changed the world forever. But he says here, Brie's a stronger person than people give her credit for. We had done Kong together, which was not the most wonderful experience for either of us. Yeah, no shit. We became great friends during that particular experience because we were having such a hard time. They bonded when Trump was controversially elected to the office of US president. She was broken, and I was like, don't let him break you. You have to be strong now. Then, when she got Captain Marvel, she called and was like, they want me to be in the Marvel universe. Should I do it? And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. But she's not going to let any of that stuff, that online abuse, destroy her. These incel dudes who hate strong women, or the fact that she's a feminist who has an opinion and expressed it, everybody wants to be who they want to be. She is who she is, and she's genuinely that. True words of wisdom there, thanks.
The most substantive thing we can get out of that is that he killed her career. Go play Captain Marvel, you'll love it.
Yeah,
it would be great. Yeah,
we know Trump broke Hollywood. We just know. And it's completely. And however you feel about the guy, they really got on board with that fortification of half of America are villains. The bad guys from WW2, or the National Socialists, as I like to call them. Yeah. And they think there's one around every corner now, and it's kind of an equivalent of the Satanic Panic from the 70s, except it's the woke version. And they played into that, and yeah, you do that year after year, and you hear it from actor after actor, and they're just repeating what they've heard from their assistants. And Samuel Jackson, I talked about this yesterday, but Samuel Jackson should be one of the most grateful fucking people in the world. He gets to pretend for a living. He's a multimillionaire, and you know what country gave him that opportunity? This one. And yeah, sure, he could talk shit about it, but people are gonna, working people are gonna go, "Fuck you, dude." I just want a couple of hours of peace from a Marvel movie, and I don't need to hear some adult pretender tell me how to live, or tell me I'm a villain, or tell me I'm a national socialist. Screw you. So yeah, that has had an effect on Hollywood. It's something that the access media will not talk about ever, and that's why
they'll talk around it. They'll acknowledge. They're starting to now finally start to acknowledge like the whole the issues with Hollywood in itself and the inability to create new movie stars, but they're blaming it on like fucking DVDs not being a thing anymore. They refuse to talk and actually address the specific issue, the problem. But this whole Samuel L. Jackson thing kind of reminds me of, I doubt those words are like sincerely actually his anyway, because he's Hollywood. That's what they do. They go wherever the fucking tide they think, whether it be their agents and all that stuff, or whatever they're telling them to say. But it's quite reminiscent of because people look at, I guess, Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury character, as one of the more positive notes of Marvel, and it's kind of similar to how they handle the character of Brie Larson and Captain Marvel in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where they have to take a character that people acknowledge and maybe have a more positive outlook on, and funnel what they need you to believe through them, much like Thor did, talking about, well, like this one, when everybody, for the most part was not with the whole Captain Marvel shit. She was a very unlikable character, let's just say that. So it's very similar in that regards, and it's just not going to work. So I don't know why he would say that, thinking that people are going to get behind Brie Larson. Like, if anything, you did yourself in, because now people don't fuck with you, and they didn't fuck with her in the first place. So such a bizarre thing, and I'm always interested in who's in these guys' ears that's feeding them this information. That's like, yeah, you say this, man, you're gonna get a lot of support, and everybody now is gonna watch fucking Secret Invasion. Like, who the fuck gonna read that article and be like, yeah, I'm into this now?
He should be smarter than that. He's been around long enough to know like the effect that a comment like that is going to have on his reputation and how people are going to take that personally. There's no need for it, but I don't understand.
Yeah, completely unnecessary. Think what you want to think, but remember, you're out. You're selling a Marvel show, okay? And that's the conundrum that Hollywood it got themselves into is they allowed the access media, the legacy media to run all these narratives, and they could have like every studio. Have you seen? Disney has supported their actors when they have this fake fan baiting crap going on. They have Ewan McGregor go out and shoot videos, or Iger will say something insane like equate trans rights to the civil rights in the 60s. But you never, ever hear anybody from Disney defending the fans and clapping back on some of these access media articles. Like, you know what? There's a few assholes out there, but all of our fans are generally good people. You never ever hear them saying that. Not one point.
Like Cavill has that one where he defends the toxic fan quote, and he's going to be a legend to the end of time from that one interview. That's all it takes.
Look what it's done to his career. Like they have done their best to like shut him out of everything. It really feels like
that guy's career is a tragedy. Like I've been a part of all the conversations that you've had on him pretty much, and he's been an A-lister in the making for 10 years, and they keep fucking him. Like that dude should be Bond, Superman, The Witcher. He could have nailed all those roles. And just the fact that he cares about the lore, like what the fuck are we doing here? Can we just make some money with this guy instead of he's just being wasted? I don't get it.
Yeah, because they'll keep doing it until eventually he ages out of like A-lister status, and then he's like, there won't be like the option for him anymore, and it's such a shame. It's just such a waste of potential, and it's frustrating as fuck to see.
The longevity that we can get if we get him like 5 years ago, 10 years ago in some of these roles and actually be able to get them all out. By the time he's aged out, like who knows how many things he could have done. It just sucks.
But hey, I'm sure The Witcher is going to be fantastic without him.
I watched
7 days till it comes out.
Oh God, is it that soon?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think I can bring myself to watch it now.
Oh,
shit.
I think it'll end the series completely. It'll be glorious.
I think so. Yeah.
I started watching that show in season 1, and he wasn't fucking in it. I'm like, what's going on here?
It is a frustrating show to watch because it just feels like they've been teed up. Like everything's teed up for them and ready to go, and they just keep swinging and missing. Like it's so they don't know how to tell a story. That's the fundamental problem. The showrunners don't know how to tell a story. Everything is like done out of chronological order. They can't tie it all together into a cohesive narrative, and they get pissy at the fans for not understanding the nonsense that they're trying to put out. Fundamentally, they don't want Geralt to be front and center. They want the story to be about Yennefer. They want it to be about Ciri. And they just see him as an annoying little distraction that they have to like deal with occasionally. And it shows, like, and that's why people didn't take to it, because it just doesn't feel like The Witcher. And you got to see what their true vision for this was when you saw Blood Origin, like the absolute piece of dog shit that nobody watched because it was pure trash.
I watched it.
I heard you guys shit on it, but I wasn't touching that.
Make no mistake, that is the Witcher show they've always wanted to make, and it's fucking intersectional feminism. All the usual garbage, like every part of the message that you could think of is in that show, and it's trash.
Can we talk about the big spoiler from
Secret Invasion?
Yeah, the big thing that happens.
Yeah,
you can tell us everything. Tell us everything.
Drinker Maria Hill dies.
Oh no, not Maria Hill! I was so invested in her character.
You could see that coming a mile away. When she was the first of 2 women to tell Nick Fury to just, you know what, you're too old for this one. There's no shame in just backing out of this. You knew he was going to be responsible for her death. You just knew.
So you know when he turned back up and he gave her a little wave, we were blowing our brains out watching the episode. We were just like, every single time you lose track of any one of your friends for longer than fucking The Thing. Did anyone watch The Thing? Hello? Like all the characters, whenever they lose sight of anyone, they're like, wait a minute. It was funny. The Faculty. The Faculty is the one I most recently watched. They think they may have killed the host, the mother of the species. So one of them goes out to go and check, see if it's had its effect. and he runs back, and he's like, "Help! This is not done. They're still chasing me." And then they're like, "You can't come back in. You got to prove you're not an alien." He was gone for like 2 minutes. It's like, yeah, where's the intelligence from any of these characters, especially fucking Nick Fury? Come on, man. And obviously Maria Hill, who's like an experienced espionage agent. That's how she's been characterized throughout all the MCU. But no, suddenly Fury's gone, and then he comes back and he's like, "Hiya," and then she's like, "Oh, thank God, it's you." And then boom, he kills her. And you know what's funny is I was completely unaffected by it, and I was like, "Nah, she's fine." And Free was like, "What do you mean she's dead?" And I was like, "I don't. Do people die from gunshots in this universe anymore? I don't know."
No one's truly gone.
Her head could have blown off, and she'll be back like next week. Like
It's like the Fast and the Furious. Like she'll be back in the next movie, I'm sure.
Do you remember? Because it was funny. There was a question of like, have they been shot before? I think Metal was asking me. He was like, "Didn't Ross get shot before?" And I was like, "Yeah, he was shot in the spine, and he made it because they had Wakandan tech balls." And it's like, why doesn't Fury have a few of them? Huh? Shove them balls into a wound.
Balls in his jacket.
Vibranium balls, it can truly do anything.
They have. Do you remember when Hawkeye got attacked in Age of Ultron's opening? Do you remember that? He got hit with like an energy blast, and they put like weird Healy tech on him. I was like, where's that? And this is the thing. The MCU's been going on for so long, and it's been controlled by the worst fucking people for writing ever. That I see her fall over and blood is pooling, and I'm just like, she's fine. She can be shot in the head, and I'd be like, she's fine. Why would I ever think she's,
Doctor Strange could show up and heal her in like 3 seconds, just do some bullshit spell on her.
You know what, Drinker? They could just go back in time.
They could,
They've still got the ability. There's no repercussions. Remember what the Ancient One said: as long as you don't steal our Infinity Stones, then nothing changes. But even if they did, they take the Time Stone, they reverse Maria Hill until she's safe, and then they put it back. But no, we're all going to pretend like we don't have access to time travel now because that's just too inconvenient. I was like, it's dead. It's all fucked. Nothing has stakes anymore.
Every time they invent a new piece of technology or a power or whatever, they have to forget it in the next one.
Yes.
Like they can't keep track of all the like based on everything we've seen throughout the MCU. No one should be able to die. Like there should be completely. They should have tech for every possible.
Fury and Riri should fix everything. Starvation, Middle East peace, everything.
Gary, at the beginning of Ant-Man, they said Hope was taking care of deforestation, homelessness, and world hunger. So
why can't we somehow get all of these amazing women together and just like fix the world?
Because they're not actually fixing the world. They're only doing it, for the prestige of it. They claim they're doing it, but like
I think Hope was doing something about affordable housing too.
Well, Cassie was ranting about that amongst some of the many things that she was
that's one of the
ranting
funniest elements of the whole film. Cassie's upset that Scott isn't doing more to save the homeless from the police when Hope is right there, and she has the company with the official power to create housing. Literally, from tiny doll houses, they can expand them with the stupid PIM tech to make it a giant. I can't. No need to talk about that movie. I was actually going to bring up a different movie, Guardians 3. That recently introduced the idea of you can be fucking shot in the neck as long as you have a med pack, you'll be back to full health straight away. How come you don't pass one to Fury? Give him a few of them for the pocket, can take care of Maria Hill. This is the thing.
Or just give one to Earth scientists and be like, here, you can replicate this. Exactly. I'm sure you can reverse engineer it somehow.
It's so shit. Like, you can barely build a thing in this universe anymore. And it's funny because Mephisto and the Skrulls are the only two solutions I would have if I was brought in as a writer. I was like, you're going to have to let me have one of those, and then I'm going to make every fucking character a Skrull. All the actual characters, they're all trapped in some dungeon, and they've been trapped there since Phase 3. Like, we haven't seen them at all. Yeah.
Release them all. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I think that was the perfect quote to sum it all up. It's so shit now. That's pretty much it.
It is.
Some people were saying that this is the Andor of Marvel.
That's what Grace Randolph said.
No, it's not.
Wow.
The fact that even the professional critics are turning against this kind of suggests that it's terrible. Like, if even they think it sucks, then, man, it's got to be bad.
Andor impressed me from the opening scene, and like these two things are completely incomparable. Like, yes, it was slow, but it's definitely worth it for anyone who hasn't taken the time to go watch it. It's the only thing made from Star Wars for adults in like the last however years.
Yeah,
we covered a Tony Gilroy interview on one of the recent EFAPs, and there's this thing that he says that was mind blowing. He's like, COVID came up and it put everything on hold for us producing shit, and so I spent all those months redrafting the scripts for the episodes. I was like, whoa.
It's
Why would you ever think to do something so fucking radical, dude?
it's just, oh my goodness, man. I every script I've ever written starts on paper because that's just how I always do it since like middle school. So I'm forced to at least do that first redraft when I put it onto it. And like if I've been doing that since I was a kid, and to see like stupid like multi-million-dollar companies not even taking the effort, it's insane to watch.
They not only don't take the effort, they take pride in not redrafting. They tell the world, they're like, I didn't even do a redraft. That's how good this script is.
You didn't even have a script. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, all those Waldron quotes were pretty fucked up. I don't understand how you can make.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with all these people. Seriously.
Well, the reality we've known for some time is that, and it's sad, man. I'd love to talk to him about it because it's got to be the most unfulfilling thing ever. They're like hired guns. They're not actually artists. Like, and I don't mean that to take anything away from them. I'm trying to say they're hired for the role of writer, but they're brought on to studio projects that are already being done, and they're just told, like, can you make up some jokes or some dialogue that connects this scene with this scene? It's like, what even is this scene? And it's like, I don't even know. We don't know yet. We're putting the chairs and the tables in there. We don't even know what characters are in this room. But you need to start writing dialogue. And it's like, okay. That's not a writer. That's someone else.
At this point, it probably just gets put through an AI and it just generates a script
And, like,
for you.
That's what I was trying to say. I feel bad for him because, like, if you actually wanted to become a writer through a sense of artistry, what the fuck is that? You're dragged into the room and told to connect this with this, and like, well, we might cut it. It's like,
that'll
cool,
kill
man.
your passion. That'll just delete your passion. Like,
Well, it's kind of like if you got aspirations to be a professional chef and then you end up flipping burgers at McDonald's. Like, it's the same kind of scenario. It's just like, well, we've got a bunch of pre-made stuff here. You're just here to assemble it.
I feel like it's almost worse than that because it's like your job switches every half an hour, and it's half of it doesn't even go out to the public. Half it's like thrown away, and you're just like, what am I doing? It's like, listen, we'll pay you at the end, all right?
Isn't it true that in Civil War the Russos would like meet one-on-one with Robert Downey Jr. and they would actually discuss the scenes and like go over the character, and he would like tell them what he thinks Tony would say, and we can actually have a good idea of what's going on?
They'd go to dinner at his house and they'd read the script with him, and then he'd give them input on whether or not he thought it was in character for Tony. It's like, where the fuck is that process?
What the fuck happened to that? Yeah, like that just seems like that's part of the like Civil War. That's my number one for like, you know, Infinity War is fun. Iron Man is an incredible introduction, but I think Civil War is like, it's almost a perfect superhero movie in terms of everything that they achieved.
It's a pretty bitchin' film.
If all the details that went into that compared to how they do it now, where they don't even have a fucking script when they're filming, Black Widow's falling out of the sky. We don't even know what the fuck's going on. I don't know. It's kind of embarrassing to watch it fall apart so quickly. Like Phase 4 should be studied.
Well, I mean, Civil War was when Kevin Feige completely took over, but there's still some holdover. Love them or hate them, they had a brain trust at when they started the MCU at Paramount. They had a comic book writer and artist brain trust, and Kevin Feige systematically got rid of all of them, got rid of every single one of them, and just started cranking out. And Kevin Feige's a giant fraud now. Like, I think the guy was just full of crap. Remember, he was supposed to be the comic guy, the guy who understood. That
was always
never
bullshit.
true.
No, that was horseshit.
Never
Yeah.
true.
That was always
That was
not.
horseshit.
So he's turned into the male Kathleen Kennedy, and he's starting to fire as many directors too. They go through the showrunner for Secret Invasion, the current one, isn't the one who started the show. The guy who started the show left, like effed off, and they don't have showrunners. So Disney doesn't know how to make TV. So they hire writers, and what these writers do is basically write first script, last script. They hire writers to do the middle scripts, and then they have those main writers kind of overlook. But they're not there throughout the entire process. They'll go off and do other things. We found that out with another show.
It's the same issue that has plagued comics for, you know, there's no cohesiveness, you know what I mean? And that stuff starts to get put together by the audience as they realize that none of this shit makes any sense. And, you know, in comics right now, it feels like people are just getting projects for the sake of doing it. Like, it's like, hey, Ta-Nehisi Coates, we know you've never fucking even showed that you like comics. Here's fucking Captain America and do Black Panther and make them intergalactic Wakanda. It won't make any fucking sense, but who cares? Just go write it. And then you have this writer do that and this writer do that. And then even with the events, you know, you got 75 comics. 74 of them don't even matter. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not, it's like, hey, well, in this person's comic, this was supposed to happen. And in order for that to make sense, there's nothing wrong with the universe building or the world building, but in order for that to make sense, everybody has to be on the same page. You can't just be bringing people in just for the sake of doing it. And Marvel's suffering the same fate because of that, like they did in the comic books, where nothing makes sense because there's no true editorial oversight. I don't know what the hell editors do over there at Marvel these days. Certainly they need a Jim Shooter. There's no Jim Shooter over there. The insane people are running the fucking asylum. And like I said, it's the same fate that's happening in their movies. And now people are picking up on it, where it's like, just give you get a project, and we'll try to piece something together. And that just doesn't make for good like sequential like content. It just doesn't work that way.
No. The editors now are there to date their work girlfriends. That's basically what's going on at Marvel.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
Just before we move on, I just have to share this super chat that came in. Phoebe Waller-Habsburg says, anyway, my darling, if you ever tire of Tatiana and want to know what a real empowered woman can give you, call me, according to Kiki.
Avatar.
Look at that shit.
Amazing jaw.
The Habsburg jaw. I give amazing jaw, apparently.
That is
don't underestimate it.
The power of the jaw.
This movie's gonna fail hard.
Well, speaking of which, actually, there was a great little quote from Kathleen Kennedy regarding Phoebe Waller-Bridge just the other day, where she said that she was given a interview with Variety, where she said it's entirely possible that Phoebe Waller-Bridge, or should I say her character, could replace Indiana Jones going forwards. So Helena could end up replacing Indy moving forward. Now, I looked at that and thought, no, because this movie's going to flop.
I think dementia is setting in.
I think you get to a certain level of detachment from reality where it's not even frightening anymore. It's actually respectable. It's like you just live in such a bubble that reality just never impinges upon you in the slightest, does it?
Do we have a budget for this movie? A solid understanding of the budget.
Indiana Jones?
Yeah,
295 million apparently.
Okay.
Last time I saw.
No, it's over 300 million.
So,
yeah,
how much do you think it would have to make for Disney to decide we are continuing the franchise with Phoebe Waller-Bridge? Do you think it would be like 1.2 billion or something like that at least?
It'd have to be 1.2, 1.3.
Something massive.
Like that, yeah.
Because
no
it
fucking
can't-
way.
Yeah.
No way.
It is currently. Oh, the Smokey moved. Whoa.
Oh my god.
Why are you there?
Sorry.
Get back to your dog bed.
He just doesn't want to talk about Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny. That's what that is.
Yeah. So
Protest.
It's tracking. Its opening weekend is tracking at 60 million, which is lower than the first 3 days of Crystal Skull without adjusting inflation.
I don't know why they would ever expect it to be higher than Crystal Skull.
Yeah. I mean, Crystal Skull. Harrison Ford was still at a decent age.
He could have. Yeah, like the potential for a good Indiana Jones movie was higher then than it is now.
Yeah, Spielberg was directing. They were going. They had Russians. It was in a decent timeline, but that movie was not good. And I know people will go, "Well, this will make Crystal Skull look good." No, there's only 3 Indiana Jones films.
Yeah,
and there always will be.
I mean, what would you say would be the realistic final box office for this worldwide? If it's a 60 million weekend to open.
60 million weekend. Ooh.
I mean, at that point, we're looking at what? 400, 500, right?
400,
yeah,
500,
I think.
Yeah.
That's going to lose.
I don't know how popular.
Millions.
Well, I would have to look at Crystal Skull's international, and yeah, I don't know how many people are going to want to watch a sad broken indie in any country. That's a good one, but it's going to die off because it comes out on the 30th, and then a couple weeks later, Mission Impossible comes out, and it will just erase any interest in Indiana Jones, if there is.
Unless, of course, they decide to make Ethan Hunt sad, old, and broken. I'm sure they'll do that any day now.
Totally.
I'm sure Tom Cruise would totally be up for that. Yeah.
It is so funny. Tom Cruise will never fucking allow it to happen. It doesn't. If he was fucking 906 years old, he wouldn't let it happen.
But look at the successes again. The successes are Spider-Man: No Way Home. I liked it. Total gimmick. Avatar 2, a sequel to a 11-year-old movie. Can't even remember now. Don't care. Super Mario Brothers, which was an extremely popular franchise that they just basically made very accurate to that world, apparently. And Top Gun, which was a sequel to a 36-year-old movie. And now Mission Impossible is the 7th. Is it the 7th?
Yeah, I think
so
it
we're
is,
not getting anything original that's taking off. Like nothing. It is still like holdovers, like massive holders. So that's got to be a concern for Hollywood at this point. Or maybe not, because they're all on fucking strike.
Well, I was going to say,
possible.
We're not even going to see the results of this current disaster for a while, right? We're still going to have plenty of projects coming out.
I thought you were going to say we're not going to see the end of the Avatar series, and that's probably true as well, because I think we'll all have died of old age by the time the last one comes out.
Didn't the last one get pushed? I mean, I'm not even kidding. To 2030?
Something like that.
I think it's 2031.
How many did they make it?
Five. There's going to be 5 in total.
It's going to be 5.
Why?
Why? That's a great
a fucking story.
That's 4 more than we ever needed.
We're getting to 10 years on that one. And bro, I'm going to, oh my God. I worked out how old I'm going to be, and I don't even want to say it. It makes me
think
sad.
about it, Gary.
Yeah, I won't.
I'm going to be almost 50 by the time the final one comes out.
Yeah.
And you will be thankful to finally see it, to see how that ending
gripped by this story. I mean, they'll keep making them obviously because they're making money. Like Avatar 2 made over $2 billion, didn't it?
I'm sure they've spoken to Cameron, like, can you franchise this, please? Can you Star Wars this motherfucker? Like, can we have more TV shows? Can we have some toys? Like,
oh,
please?
Disney must be desperate on this one. It's like, holy shit, something we're making that's actually producing money, like it's generating revenue. I didn't think that was possible anymore.
There is toys. Nobody buys them. Like, nobody buys them. No, it is such a weird movie. It is such a weird franchise that it makes $2 billion and gets completely forgotten. It is like it is just disposable. It's like the ramen noodles of mega franchises. You know,
people always end up saying no cultural footprint. That's what people say.
Yeah.
It's like,
is there another example of a movie that successful, but that just like from everything you just mentioned, like no cultural footprint, no merchandise, it just seems to just come and go, but make all the money in the world and then vanish?
You'd think for all the people who, were apparently suffering from depression after Avatar, like, Pandora's not a real place, what am I going to do? They at least would form, like, crazy fan communities where they're constantly talking about it and, like, sharing theories and all this stuff, and it just doesn't seem to exist.
No.
It's not
like, where is this so-called enthusiasm? Where does it go? Because there's nothing to latch onto. There's no real characters in it that are interesting. It's just vaguely good-looking people in a sci-fi setting that looks pretty, just doing action-y stuff. That's all you get out of it. It's a bizarre movie.
You look at like the ranked, highest box offices ever, and it's like Avatar in the top 3, and Endgame, and it's like, well, Endgame had a huge cultural impact that was enormous, and people still talk about it to this day. We already have today. No, it makes sense, but still. And it's like Titanic, and you're like, yeah, I mean, people reference fucking Titanic all the time. Force Awakens is 5, and you're like, that had quite a cultural impact, you could say. Like, we'll never be forgetting that one. There's like Infinity War, No Way Home, even Jurassic World. You're like, yeah, all these films, like, people remember them and talk about them. And, it's not to say people don't talk about Avatar, but man, I struggle to remember even the plot points of both of them, and I watched them not that long ago.
MauLer, watch Dominion.
Minions?
Dominion. Jurassic World Dominion. Watch that.
Oh, that movie.
Get all the booze. Just grab all the bottles. Grab the dog. Grab the fucking friggy and just do it. I'm telling you, it's one of the worst movies I've ever reviewed. Holy shit. Does that dog he just blacks out like?
We all do that, don't we? Like, he moved, so I had to reposition the dog cam to get him in it.
Oh man. No.
Yeah, I don't know why he's not in his dog bed. Why are you lying on the floor? Oh, whatever. Yeah, it is hot here actually.
Jurassic Park is lower than Jurassic World. It's like, yep. On the rankings.
Well,
Egon the Conqueror right there.
Don't put him near your eyes.
He looks angry. He just looks angry, that cat. No, I like to point out, some people don't think it's important, but adjusting for inflation, none of those movies would be up there. We still have Gone with the Wind being
of course,
and Star Wars and E.T. But yeah, Hollywood has been going downhill. Hollywood peaked. They already peaked. That's already happened because gaming like destroys them now, utterly destroys them. So we're in the waning days of Hollywood. It'll always be around in some form or another, but now they have another thing to compete with, and they created their own problem. I mean, we're on day 55 of the writer's strike, and nobody gives a shit. Nobody's talking about it. It's barely being brought up in the trades at this point. And I hope some people are getting real nervous. And then if the actors completely shut down Hollywood, well, you know, we've already been through a shutdown Hollywood, and we all survived. We somehow managed to survive without Hollywood during COVID. And we just entertain ourselves. And I got the Tom Hanks quote. He was trying to like ride the fence because he's not a writer, but he's a producer. And he was asked directly about the strike, and he's like, "Well, I hope they all work out," because he admitted that like we're in a different time now, where people can get free entertainment whenever they want on YouTube. He actually said it. He said the words, and that's where like late night's been gone. America is healing, and nobody's. I don't miss the fucking Jimmy Kimmel clips on YouTube at all. I think it's made it a better place by them not being here. So that's going to be the future. It's all going to fracture, you know, like with Eric, you know, like Eric, that's the comic industry was the precursor to so much of it. They just did themselves in, and the people who love comics are still going to find a way to find good comics. But you're not growing your industry as a whole unless you have people making good comics and being consistent about it. And that's where manga swooped in and took it. There'll always be something else. Right, for to be the pinnacle of entertainment, and it's not going to be movies anymore. Especially if they take if it's a year, so this strike could last till Christmas. Fucking Christmas.
I love the fact that writers have been on strike for like a couple of months now, and we've noticed no difference.
Until y'all brought it out, I was like, "What the fuck? That was a thing."
Yeah, it's like, is that still happening or what?
I forgot about that. How long has it been?
It's been almost 2 months.
I think, look, the white pill for me, and I've brought this up a million times, is I think that in the future, you know, to your point, Gary, it's not going to go away as far as that true demand, but it's not going to look the same that it had before. I think we're moving into a more decentralized kind of form of entertainment. Regional. And, I think that's going to happen with the movie and short film industry as well. We might not have the day and age of the multi-billion-dollar films and stuff. That doesn't mean that there won't be wildly successful ones, and they probably aren't going to be coming from like the establishment Hollywood. So, you know, I welcome that. I think that status quo and that level has a level of uncertainty that comes with it in the event that it goes away. I think that's why so many people are protective of the status quo, because they look at it like that's my guaranteed spot. But if it like that infrastructure changes like as quickly as it has been, like as of recent, to where the technology has grown so much, people are shooting short films with their DSLR. It's getting insane. They're not having to spend $14,000 on some red camera or something. They don't have to do that anymore. If that's the way of the future, there's going to be a lot of people left without. And some people don't like that uncertainty. It's something that I certainly welcome, and I think it's going to be more beneficial for the customer. So it's probably not going to look like it ever had before, but you know, to Gary's point, it's not going to necessarily go away per se. So that's something to be optimistic about. I think this is a great time to be a creative.
What I want to see is like a return to that mid-budget movie where you got maybe $40-50 million to spend on it. Doesn't have to make crazy box office numbers in order to turn a profit, and so you can then do things that are a bit more interesting. You don't have to make these shitty generic corporate approved movies that have to appeal to fucking everyone to have any chance of making their money back, and they're just boring as fuck. Something that's like specialized, like when we talked about action movies earlier. Fine, make one that's R-rated, that's violent, that's got swearing, that's got blood and guts and explosions and everything else. And all you have to make is like 100 million at the box office to turn a profit. Great, you can do that easily, and you can produce really entertaining, fun stuff, and you can take risks. That's what they need to be able to do again. They need to be able to take risks, and you can't do that with a $250 million movie. It's too much money at stake.
Joker and Deadpool. Joker and fucking Deadpool.
Absolutely.
Why didn't they learn from that? It's just the profit margin is so much more like beneficial. It's just take the time to actually write a good story. It's just that simple. What else can we say to them at this
The
point?
reason they don't do that is because like there's not everybody can't really have their hand in a cookie jar when it's like that. So everybody wants a piece of the damn pie where you got to have, you actually have to strive for talent, because when you're pressed with an actual budget, you have to get a talented writers, not a 50 million writers and half of money doing shit. You know what I mean? Like, or really contributing to the overall script. And that's what I don't think that they want, because they like everybody wants to leave their imprint. So, and this is why I say, in part, actually, large part, Hollywood did themselves in with the big budget shit. You know what I mean? Like they really painted themselves in a corner because, the level of red tape that they have, people that work in the film industry, that you got some fucking person that's in charge of, like, I don't know, lotioning up the legs of the actress. And that's the only job that they're fucking in charge of. And they're getting an extraordinary amount of money to do that. That stuff that's why when you see it and you're like, how in the fuck did this movie cost $200 million? It's not like it went to the CGI. It's not like it went to the people that are playing. No, it's because they have so many different nonsensical jobs that they have to pay, and the amount of red tape that they put on themselves. This is why, is looking at this strike and the way that it's going, man, they might be really doing themselves in, but it's their own fault.
They have to reevaluate everything after this strike now. Like, they need to find a way to actually make money with these stories.
They need a production reaper to come in.
Yeah, well, I think that's what that's what's happening. I think the producers, that's why they haven't really negotiated with them at all. They're like, and the producers are just as guilty, right? They're the ones who signed all these freaking ridiculous deals, and they want to get out of them now. And on the 30th, a lot of force majeure will kick in, which means any deal we made, we can get out because you're on strike. They are going to do. It's a purge. It will be a purge. And maybe it's good, maybe it's not. But now is the time, just like in COVID. It's like, if you got something you want to make, these writers, if they're so good at writing, get off the Hollywood teat, write a novel,
go do it
write
yourself.
a book, go out there.
If you're that good, I think, and that's what they don't want to do, though, Gary. This is why I talk about the protection of the status quo. We've seen that happen in the comic book space again, which seemed to be the precursor for all this, where you get these supposedly notable writers that are on the biggest projects, and then they tried to enter into the crowdfunding space, and it didn't do. I'm not going to say it failed, but it's not doing anything near the numbers of what they think that they can do, because they're not the draw. They're not the draw like that, and probably they're not as good as they like to think of themselves as. And that's what, why protecting that status quo is so attractive, because really it's the only machine that can afford to pay them the amount that they're getting and get the amount of eyes that they're getting, because these guys know they can't do that themselves.
It cannot be undersold that your book smoked Keanu Reeves' book, dude.
That's true.
That is unbelievable. That is effing unbelievable.
That.
Great.
Cheers.
But that's a fact. It just destroyed it. There are, I'm a big fan of Mark Millar, and he's doing some stuff with Image right now. That is the stuff that's working. That's one guy who's kind of figured it out. He doesn't go out there and piss off.
Shout out, and he's a fan. Me and him talk all the time. Big shout out to Mark.
Yeah, good dude.
Cool guy.
Good dude. Super talented guy. Millar World is killing it right now, and it's just this most simple formula in the world. Don't piss anybody off and make good comic books. And he's got the best artists on, and I love that you're talking to him. I'd love for you guys to team up. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So there's still good comics out there, and Eric's right. It's going to become artisanal. It's going to be regional. It's going to be fractured. You're not going to have big mega franchises. You'll have a bunch of niche ones, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with niche. I wish comics would go back to niche.
That's true. They were better when they were.
Yep.
Drinker, I have two disturbing bits of Star Wars news.
Oh no.
Okay.
What, they're going to make some more?
Oh no. What do we
First
got?
one, well, one very official, one less official, but we kind of knew this was happening anyway. So first up, I just saw this article because I've been linked to it. Pedro Pascal fully supports Bo-Katan taking over Mandalorian.
Oh, what a surprise! Of course he
fucking does. Yeah, man.
Is there any progressive thing he won't fucking show for at this point?
You know what?
Come on,
now I'm a fan of Last of Us 2. I can't wait till the 5 hour comes. I really can't.
So I'll go through it as fast as I can. So speaking to Variety, Pascal explained he loved seeing Katie Sackhoff's Bo-Katan take on the titular Mandalorian title, and he's a big fan of Dave Filoni's extended Star Wars universe. And he said, I think the big focus on Bo-Katan was great in that it also brings into full realization a beloved character from the world of Dave Filoni. He almost sees Din Djarin's character as an entry point to Filoni's stories, which includes the animated series Clone Wars and Rebels. Everyone gets to experience the excitement of Bo-Katan being introduced, and then she's a badass and she's perfectly cast. I just think it's perfect that we get to meet and see the character, and she gets to do cool shit in the second season, and then she gets to take center stage in the third, and it's what I would want for the character. And as a fan of Clone Wars,
So he's out.
To be fair, I can understand why he would want out, because sitting in a sound booth for like 5 minutes per day recording his audio,
Saying this is the way over and over again.
Yeah, and then letting a stuntman do all the actual on-set performance for him, like that's got to take it out of you. That's not the sort of workload that a man can maintain.
How hard he's worked. How hard he's worked in that 5 minutes.
One of the last quotes
he gave it everything.
This is the
Who
way.
is the Mandalorian at this point? I think it could be anyone. That's what he said.
Fine, I'm the Mandalorian now. Bitch.
Does Pedro
This is
not
the
know?
way.
Like, I don't think Pedro knows about Last of Us Part 2. Maybe he's like, I've got
Maybe he
this
doesn't,
Last of Us show. I'm going to be on it for 10 years.
Yeah, I'm just confused about that. He's like, he's got a long career. Does he know that he gets pummeled? Like,
It's a real long-term gig, this one.
What's his plan? You would think he'd want to hold on to Mando just in case.
Sooner,
You know?
Yeah, the sooner that guy goes away, the better. Like he is the male Brie Larson. Him and Simu Liu. They're kind of
He's an insufferable
he's cooler
prick.
than Simu. Simu's fucking weird, man.
yeah.
But
He's a weird dude.
I think the problem with Pedro as well is that like he's just flavor of the month in Hollywood, and so you see him in fucking everything, and it just gets tiresome seeing the same guy in like every TV
He's the
show.
Latino Idris Elba.
And he just
True,
he
he's
clearly
all over
doesn't.
the place.
He just doesn't want to do Mandalorian. It's like I'd prefer him just say that. Just say that. You don't have to say this whole like, you know what? It's important for the show that Bo-Katan take over. It's like you just don't want to play the fucking character because you're bored with it. Just say that.
Yeah.
okay.
Where was everyone's
Or we.
where was everyone's
Or
breaking
we.
point with the Mandalorian? Like I personally was like, the second I saw Baby Yoda, I knew what it was gonna be from the first episode. I was
my
done
breaking
from,
point
like, the
was
very beginning.
season 1, episode 3 and 4. That's what killed me on it. I could even tell you
Yeah.
exactly what it was, but I know that's early
Gina
compared to a
Carano?
lot of people.
The Gina
No,
Carano.
that's the thing. I like bringing in all kinds of characters like that. It was the stupid ATST story.
That's what I'm referring to. He was with Gina on that one.
Oh
They
yeah,
were
I'm saying
training
it's not.
people with
I'm
pitchforks.
saying it's not Gina Carano that made me hate the show or anything.
Oh, no, I didn't mind her.
Howard show.
I didn't mind her.
Bryce Dallas Howard's directed one, which was pretty. Oh, the
That
one
was,
where he
yeah.
like
It's they have a ship
tell me
through the
about
whole
the-
episode.
looking
It's like,
at everybody.
maybe use the ship to take out the ATST, and they never think of that. It's got a fucking starship. It's not my fault to do it.
I wasn't sure, but then the show gets progressively stupider as it goes. It is freaking.
Oh, yeah, season
annoying.
3 is the worst of the 3.
Season
for
3
sure.
is god awful.
I made my Mandalorian video without even bothering finishing season 3 because I was so confident that they weren't going to contradict my points. They're going to do nothing. They're going to continue to do fuck all, and I could just make this video anyway because it's such a vapid show. It's just not.
Pedro wasn't even
Yeah.
in season 3. He doesn't show up at all. His
No.
face.
The entire show is just like an exercise of making something out of absolutely nothing.
Yep.
That's all it is. It's like a nothing show. And so like I was pretty much indifferent to it throughout season 1 and 2. And I think the point where I just started to actively hate it was that episode where it just focuses on completely different characters in season 3, where like the action just zips over to these like other two people
Yeah,
on
no,
Coruscant.
a different TV show starts up randomly.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh fuck this.
There's no narrative to follow.
no
like, you don't know what the
focus.
hell's
Oh yeah,
going
and
on.
guys, Drinker didn't even watch the Jack Black Lizzo one, and he
Oh,
hates it.
Right.
dude.
I was done.
What's the-
I was done after that.
Remember when they brought up Count Dooku and they actually talked about like politics?
That was like,
and for
yeah,
a
it's like
second-
the one
a second,
sentence that
Like,
was
I raised an
interesting.
eyebrow and then they fucking like shoot him in the head and say, "Oh, politics." I think I like left my fucking computer area after that. I just walked away because like why even like tease that? Make me raise an eyebrow and then just shit on it.
They
Because
said the thing. It's the
Oh,
Star Wars thing
God.
in the prequels because Disney's always loved the prequels, even though they completely disrespected them in the first line of their first fucking movie.
Oh yeah, they hated the prequels until they realized they could make money off them.
like yeah,
What-
that didn't age well.
What was the other piece of unconfirmed news?
Oh yeah,
Right. So, well, it's Star Wars New Jedi Order to shoot in April 2024, and we've been given a synopsis as well, which is set roughly 15 years after Rey's victory over Palpatine. Shut up. And the end of Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. The sequel delves into Rey's courageous endeavor to restore the Jedi Order, where she assumes the role of mentor to two promising young students, a girl and a boy. As their training progresses, it becomes evident that the girl possesses extraordinary abilities.
What? Imagine my shock. I get you. I'm out, man.
Brunette. Gotta be brunette. Okay.
Yeah. She'll have a British accent.
My question is, when did they write this? Or is this just another Kathleen Kennedy announcement? Where does it come from?
Well, it's got all the information on it. Status April 2024, location United Kingdom, producer Kathleen Kennedy, writer Stephen Knight, director Shamin Obeid Chenoy.
Stephen Knight was hired right at the writer's strike, so they're not writing shit right now.
Yeah, of course. Well, this is the set date, I guess. It looks a little bit official. I'm not sure exactly what the source is.
What was the release date again? What was the?
What was the what? Sorry, 2024 April. Yeah.
3, 2.
For the movie
that is not far away.
For the movie to be released.
My mind is blown that they're actually moving. I did say this would be the one I'd expect them to move forward with once I heard that they were actually out of the 3, but still, what a stupid fucking decision.
Like in the same year, a Phoebe Waller-Bridge Indiana Jones and a Rey Star Wars movie. I might be able to retire after that.
If you want to,
and the Marvels,
I'm going to put an extension on my pool. And
I just put a link in chat, Gary, if you want to check it out. That's where I found it from.
Buy the house next door. Just kidding.
What are these weird rumors that seem to be floating around? I have no idea if there's any veracity to this. That the Acolyte has been canned, and it's not going to be moving forward.
It's already been shot.
Well, I know, but then I'm hearing these things that like it's like all they've shot is like enough material for like a trilogy of like short films rather than like full episodes. It's almost like they haven't even got enough to actually make a series on this. And apparently it's been such a mess that they've basically like quietly shelved it and they're not planning to do it anymore.
That would be the most colossal. That would be a colossal failure to end all failures, because they spent a good, I'm going to estimate low, hour and a half, 2 hours of time at Star Wars Celebration on the Acolyte, bringing in the actors, bringing in the showrunner, the former Harvey Weinstein assistant Leslie Headland, and yeah, that would be unfathomable. Now, it depends on who's reporting it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it was on Reddit threads and stuff, so it could be complete nonsense.
Yeah, no, don't take this to be true. It's something that people have been linking me, and I was like, oh, it could be.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's
expected release date May 22nd, 2026, which to me seems too early, but we'll see.
If you're looking for Disney to cancel things that are tax write-offs, look for Ironheart, Agatha, maybe Echo, because I've heard Echo's a massive, but that's also been completely shot. It's really hard to get. Like, even Batgirl wasn't completely shot. There was still more to do. It was 90% shot, but it wasn't completely shot. What I've heard is Acolyte is done. Like, it's in post. So,
what is Echo?
Okay,
Did
you watch Hawkeye?
Fuck no. Come on.
Okay. Echo
Why would I do such a thing?
Daredevil villain that they put into Hawkeye because she's indigenous, but not there. She's also deaf, and she also is an amputee. So they just checked 3 boxes with that, and she beat Hawkeye.
Of course she did.
You know, and then they gave her own series, which is going to have Daredevil and Kingpin in it. And it's been shot for a long time. I mean, months. It's been done. Like, they could release it on Disney Plus tomorrow, but apparently it's just such shit that they're going back to the drawing board.
Tell me what they did to Kingpin. I love
Kingpin
first half
gets
of the second
defeated by Kate Bishop, and then gets potentially not killed. She probably doesn't kill him, but Echo got Kingpin in the situation where she could have killed him at the end, which is just fucking ridiculous. Okay, Kingpin could rip Echo in half.
This is what I'm saying. How? Like, what was the logistics there? What did they do to stop Kingpin? Why is he ripping his head off?
Kate Bishop used like what was, help me chat, it was some kind of where she blew up. So she used some arrows to blow up Kingpin after he got hit by a car. But Kate Bishop's mom was evil. And then Kingpin got beat. Yeah, so he got blown up by an arrow by Kate Bishop, and then he walks out, and Echo has a gun on him. At the end, you hear the gunfire, but she obviously doesn't kill him because he's going to be in her series and in the Daredevil series that stopped production, by the way.
Did it?
Thankfully, Born Again. And it was they took Marvel's best villain from Marvel's best series and cucked him almost immediately.
His performance in the first season was almost perfect. Like he just nailed it. And I've liked Kingpin since I was a little kid, and he captured everything I wanted out of the character.
Dude,
And
he decapitated a dude with car door.
fucking car door thing. Nuts, Vanessa.
That was just for interrupting him at dinner, wasn't it?
Fucking shit. Even what was the black dude that he killed, that was the journalist for visiting his mom. Even that scene, like he just wasn't like generic bad guy villain. He actually it was believable. You fuck with my mom, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And they actually gave him a good funeral scene. Like, what is this quality? Where is this? Everything about that season was just on point. And then he gets to She-Hulk. Like, the fuck was that?
That's
the best thing they've made and the worst thing they've made.
There is pre-2016 Hollywood and post, and that's
they are very different entities.
She-Hulk is passed after that.
I can't believe that show exists.
Word's not coming.
Let's do a couple of super chats.
Yeah.
Shall we? Let's see what people have got to say. Oh, it's a bit of a sad one to begin, gentlemen, so hankies at the ready. Mr. Lucas says, "Hey, Drinker and MauLer, my dog recently got put down, and I just wanted to say thanks for all your content that you provide. She wasn't even 6 years old. I'm sorry, man. That sucks."
Sorry to hear it.
That absolutely sucks.
That does suck.
Jeff Romadix says, "I made a joke last week about a Red Tail sequel being the last Lucasfilm property that's left for them to ruin. I've got a better one, though. A soft reboot of American Graffiti with a race and gender swap cast on Disney+. Plus.
God, that is something they would do. Oh my God, that is something they would do.
Elsie Le Pen.
They don't have rights to that, though.
Hopefully
They just
not.
bought Star Wars. I don't think Lucasfilm. I think American Graffiti was long before Lucasfilm. So.
Elsie Le Pen says, "Hail to the open bar. I had an itch to start watching some good biopic films recently. Could you throw me some good recommendations? Also ones to avoid."
The Hurricane.
Biopics.
The Hurricane, Denzel Washington.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That was from way back in the 90s, wasn't it?
It's that in Training Day that really blew him up, I think. Pretty sure.
Yep.
Two great films.
I recommend the recent Netflix biopic Cleopatra.
Yes.
100% historically accurate.
Does Dahmer count? Could I throw that in there? Does that even count?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, it's based on historical.
For anyone,
events.
I know a lot of people had issues with that show. Like, I don't like the idea of him being like, glorified and given more celebrity. But at least they by the end of the show, I fucking hated him. They don't make you sympathetic for him or anything like that. I fucking despised him, and they did a good job. It was definitely delicate subject material, but fantastic show. Terrible monster. One of the motherfucker was a monster, absolute monstrous character, a person. Sorry, if anyone hasn't seen that show.
Which one?
Dahmer.
Okay. I'm not seen Dahmer. I saw the Jimmy Savile documentary because MauLer was talking about it. Holy.
Ooh, well,
Ain't
that might
that
go
a-
away with.
Isn't that a great bit of entertainment and information? Like the editing and the way they put that thing together
it's masterful how they put that together.
really fucking good and really
Brutal.
effective. You get a full dose of understanding who the fuck that piece of shit was.
Good God.
They also said, also RIP to those going to San Diego Comic-Con for Marvel. Were they saying that they're pulling out of the Comic-Con?
You got to
Like
know when
that.
to pull out, for one. Okay. You got to have a good pull-out game.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they are. They said, well, the reason why is the strike, and certain showrunners are not allowed to promote shows by their union. And then if the actors can't go, on top of that, I think that's just an excuse. They have everything's delayed. They have nothing to talk about, and they curate the questions. Like you might be able to stand in line and slip in one tough question for somebody, but after that, man, for one, you'd be gone. They boot you from the con. And they just have nothing to promote, and it's probably embarrassing at this point. So why spend money on it? Why go to the con, which costs millions of dollars? It's all right. I think that opens up a space for somebody else that should be on Hall H. I'll be there.
Kyle Kernan says, MauLer, when can I watch EFAP live?
That would be 7 p.m. BST on Saturdays, usually on my channel. The funny thing is that had you asked me this question any other time, that's what I would have said. But this week, it'll be straight onto MauLer because it's a we look at memes, and a lot of them are copyright material stuff, so that just goes up as a recorded thing, so that we don't get given a strike. So yeah, EFAPs every 7. If it's not on my channel at 7 p.m. live, it'll be pre-recorded on MauLer.
Nice. Jedi Onlooker says, have ruined the retro bait on you magnificent Scotsman. All right, ruin the retro bait. Okay. Shan Wickrasim says, about mixing up Australians and New Zealanders last week, for example, Anthony Starr. I was just trying to help you avoid the problems that it could cause. I mean, could you imagine the resulting chaos if I thought you weren't Welsh and MauLer wasn't Scottish? I know. Imagine that. Gopher Brooks says, were the Spawn comics any good?
Like the OG ones. I mean, look, man, McFarlane's very divisive on like as far as his writing ability. But it was a cool concept of a character, man.
Yeah, I love that character.
Yeah, like as a character, so it's going to be an acquired taste.
Yeah, the first 24 issues pretty good.
How do you feel about that for a remake potential? In terms of they've remaked everything under the sun. How come we haven't had a Spawn one?
I don't know. That's a good one. I don't know how people would feel.
There's two that I really want to see: Spawn and Gargoyles. Finally getting the opportunity to shout out to Gargoyles. I think those are 2 ones from the 90s that you really could have done something with.
Spawn, the animated series that I believe is still on Max, is freaking great. It is great. Spawn, I think the last thing I heard, McFarlane wanted to make a horror movie like for $10 million.
Do it.
Direct it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it now.
He's not. He's a good businessman. Very good.
He's a great businessman.
One of the best. Not a great writer, but it's all right.
Very divisive on the writing side. Yeah.
Just since you mentioned horror real quick before Drinker continues, all the fucking reviewers on this platform just shit the bed reviewing Midsommar and just talking about themes and nonsense. And Drinker was the only one that actually talked about the fucking plot. That's actually how I got onto your channel, the Midsommar. You're the only one who actually talked about what happened in the goddamn movie and talked about it honestly.
Yeah,
we were just talking about that before this stream began.
that is incredibly coincidental. Yeah,
that's the movie. That's how I got on. That's actually how I started talking to him, because I saw him get a super chat and someone asked him, "What's your most like overrated movie?" And he sat there and thought about it for a second, and then he said Midsommar, and I wanted to fucking like flip my table because like finally like people are so delusional when it comes to that movie. It's like one of the worst movies you ever see when it comes to just wasting your time and having complete contradict, like, double standards at the end. Worst horror movie I've ever fucking seen. But again, shout out to you, Drinker, for that shit. Like,
you just didn't understand it.
Chris Tuckman was talking about how he got rained on his way to the fucking theater instead of talking about the movie. That dude is just fucking worthless, man.
Top tier reviewing right there.
Holy shit! Talk about the movie, bro. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Just throw that out.
Did he also give you 5 minutes of production information about every single person who was like in it and directed it and stuff?
The producers, the directors, some fucking thing that he thought was cute or something, but he doesn't actually talk about what happens in the story. And that I remember brooming, like literally listening to this guy, like fucking say something, please. That's when I started.
That's his whole thing. He just like Midsommar is directed by Ari Aster.
That's it. That's literally it. You've seen his video.
Stars Florence Pugh, who's been in several films that you may be familiar with, like
riveting
The
stuff.
Falling, Lady Macbeth, The Commuter. Anyway, please subscribe.
This offers nothing, man.
I'll be back next week to read off the IMDb production information for the next movie.
Yep.
I sat through that 3-hour mother and wrote my script. Fuck Midsommar. No, Midsommar was not fire. Calm down, Mr. Donnie, whoever you're.
Just when you mentioned Florence Pugh there, right? Am I nuts, or is I just don't get Florence Pugh. I don't get the appeal of her. Like, I can only like her to a shorter, dumpier, less attractive version of like Ana de Armas or someone like that. Like, I don't get why people are so enamored by her.
I don't know.
I'd be willing to concede to overrated, but like she's like the only person who did any acting in the Black Widow movie.
Yeah. She can perform. Like, look, this is weird. I think she's a good actress, but I fucking despise both the roles I've seen her in, Midsommar and Black Widow. Like Yelena and whatever the fuck her name was, Dani. It's just terrible. So I think she could perform. She's just in a weird spot right now. I don't think this Marvel career is gonna play out for her.
Yeah. No, I was just curious. I just wanted to get like people's take on it because I still, yeah, I guess I don't dislike her. It's more just like I don't really get it. I don't get why she seems to get so much praise. But yeah, maybe she just needs a bit more time to find her niche. The next one is Robo96, who says, if you're having a bad day, then just remember, at least you're not Tom Holland having to watch your girlfriend get tag teamed in a new movie. Yeah, I've heard about that. What is that film called?
Isn't that just normal for any celeb couples? They both of them go into movies and fucking have sex with different people under the camera.
I think
like,
when
isn't that normal?
When it's like a threesome, though, it's got to be extra. It's got to hit extra hard, you know.
I don't know. Yeah,
That'd be a
don't date
little
an
rough.
actress.
Don't date a porn star, man. You're
Don't
getting
date a board star. Don't date an
Yeah.
Well, that's the
No
thing. It's
problem
like
with
I don't know. I think they knew what they were getting into when they dated each other
Until they
for
don't.
actors, right?
You think you know what you're getting into, but
Well, you got to be careful, right? Because wasn't it Mr. and Mrs. Smith, like Brad Pitt and
That's when they hooked up.
Angelina Jolie, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't Brad Pitt dating someone at that point? But
Yep.
he switched
Yeah, he
him
was
out.
still with. Well, he was still with Jennifer Aniston at the time, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Then he upgraded.
which happens a whole bunch. You got to be careful.
Yeah. David Lamplow says Extraction, with all of its action set pieces, practical effects, and A-list actor, only cost $69 million to make. If it was a cinematic release, imagine the turnover it would have had. Large companies, I feel, are missing out here. It seems that there was a good group of former stuntmen and coordinators who make very good action films as directors, who tend to understand how to make it far more engaging. Yeah, because the John Wick director, he's a former stuntman, isn't he?
Yep.
That's how you got into it.
There's effort went into John Wick. That's the very first thing you notice when you watch those movies. Effort. It's just not like they didn't bullshit the choreography. They actually cared.
Yeah. I just, yeah, with Extraction, you could have released them into the cinemas and they would have done pretty well, I think.
They probably would have made their money back. And Netflix is going to have to do that if they want Academy Award. While the Extraction probably wouldn't be considered for an Academy Award, but they just changed the rules where the films have to be in theaters longer now. But I'm going to see Extraction 2 now because of you guys.
Yeah. You'll have fun with it, I guarantee.
I'll check those movies out.
You guaranteed it. You can sue him if you don't have fun.
I guarantee. Grimnax says, Gentlemen, what's your opinion on Jimmy Carr? I find him absolutely hilarious as an American. His shock comedy is top notch. Cheers. Quite
Yeah, I
him.
like Jimmy
He's alright.
Carr.
I don't think he's shocking either. I wouldn't really put him in the category of shock comedy. But I don't know.
Edgy. I wouldn't consider him shocking, but maybe that's because I'm used to watching him for kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think American comedians tend to be a bit more like I don't know what you
Strategic.
call it. Like, yeah, and just more conventional, I suppose. Not all of them, but yeah, the mainstream ones certainly are. He also says, also MauLer, you're very much needed on Critics Core. If you have to be subpoenaed, then we, the jury, will make a motion for it. Remember to drink your rhino milk for the dawn of the big ideas. It is intellicute.
Oh, intellectual. Yeah, well, you will see me on it because I assume he's going to run more than just a Star Wars one. And I've told him I'm totally game if he does one for like in future. I'm super busy these days, but like I'd be willing to come on for Terminator, Alien, Predator. Actually, I could just Indiana Jones. Like we'll just see it forever talking about Jurassic Park, whatever he wants.
Just one thing while we're going on here. Mr. Brown, who's one of my mods, he's just shy of 2,500 subs. And he'd set himself the goal of trying to reach it this week. If we could maybe help him out, if the link there is right there in front of you. If you were able to maybe give him a little subscribe, we'd get him over 2.5k. It would really help him out. Anyway, I'll leave that there for a minute or two. Narsul1 says, I asked this on Friday Night Tights 252, but I didn't get an answer. What are everyone's thoughts on the Fleischer Studios Superman cartoons from the 1940s?
Masterpieces, absolute masterpieces. That's what Batman the Animated Series is a template of. They just came out with a Blu-ray that sucks. Transfer's terrible. I guess they're going to fix it, but if you haven't seen them, they're freaking brilliant, dude.
Nice. Taker610 says, Drinker, the Indy 5 screening that Chris Gore went to had an open bar. An open bar without one true Scotsman and the long. Chris needed a +2 on that one. I wish I could have been there. Although based on what he described, maybe it's better that I wasn't there. Ghost of Drinker's Liver says, with Indy 5 looking like a dud, it looks like aircraft aren't the only things that can crash with Harrison Ford on board. Apparently so, yeah. Waylon Bicephus says, I know you prefer Scotch over bourbon, but what is your favourite bourbon? Jack Daniels doesn't count since it isn't technically a bourbon. What would be my favourite? So Blanton's is really good stuff. It's pretty expensive, but it goes down smooth. And that or Woodford Reserve, I think. They're both bourbons. I like both of them. He also says, Unforgiven or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? Which would you choose? I'd choose Unforgiven.
Yeah, that's easy for me, but
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is really good.
yeah.
I think you can't have one without the other, but that's me. Good, the bad, the ugly.
Nikki D says, can we expect an EFAP watch-along for Extraction 2? Also, can Gary and Drinker convince Longman to watch Top Gun Maverick and offer up his thoughts? Cheers. Watch Top Gun Maverick, MauLer.
Yeah, or I'll beat you up.
You can't do that. Your arms aren't long enough.
You soulless monster. Watch that movie and start chanting USA.
That's
You'll
right.
love it.
What was the first? I got to. Oh yeah, Extraction 2, EFAP movies, maybe. The thing is, like, I think we're just gonna try and get it watched, but we could grab a crew for it because action movies don't often lend themselves well to EFAP movies. We kind of lucked out with Extraction 1, but yeah, so I'll put that on the maybe pile, but I don't know, probably not, because I'm hoping to just watch it, and I'd rather not have to set up a recording for it, you know.
Fair dues. Next one is Normie, who says, greetings, things are bad, but something to possibly look forward to is 2024's The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. It's a Guy Ritchie film starring Henry Cavill based on a real-life Ian Fleming World War II story. Why have I never heard of this?
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Looks
If
like
it comes out. But yeah.
Good combination of actor and director there. Did any of you guys see The Covenant?
No.
At all?
No.
Because I quite liked it. I thought it was pretty decent. Both main actors were really good, and the action scenes were decent enough. Pretty good story. Quite a long movie, but yeah, I liked it overall. Not his normal sort of thing either. RRTNZ says, Hail Drinker and Co. Extraction 2 succeeds on the creative talents of Hargrave and the Russos. Perhaps it's worth looking at their time in the MCU, i.e. when it used to be good compared to today's MCU. And RIP Calculon. Cheers. Okay. Yeah, I mean, they had a good run in the MCU, I guess. Waylon Bicephus says, bucket of dysentery or bucket of a wise monk's strangely yellow toenail clippings. Quite a choice. I don't know. Or you could go for a good old-fashioned bucket of AIDS. Always with the AIDS bucket with you. Why are you so obsessed with buckets of AIDS?
Yeah.
It's a little bit weird.
That is a little
Robbie,
Tiny bit.
he likes to challenge us with difficult questions. Robbie can...
Fuck with AIDS.
Yeah. Says, any of the older nerds been thinking about Sequest lately with this whole submarine discussion? Also, hi, I'm Bob Ballard from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute. Don't be a moron. Stay above the ocean where you belong. That's true, yeah. Don't go under the ocean. But I remember Sequest from back in the 90s, and I remember it being quite good. It was a very 90s show.
Mm-hmm.
It was like this super advanced submarine, and there was all kinds of like factions and stuff underwater for some reason. Yeah, it was okay, and it had Roy Scheider.
Roy Scheider.
Yeah.
For anyone who's curious, by the way, it looks like it's confirmed that the vessel imploded on its way down. So they had, you know, they got the best possible result of the many different things that could have happened. Honestly.
Oh,
There-
gee.
I mean, yeah. If it
It
goes
could have
like
been
that,
a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's still not fantastic, but
Imploding and being crushed into the size of a grape is probably not a great result.
Well,
I
like
don't but the idea of them suffering slowly is worse, obviously. But just there's no
Yeah.
pretty way to go down there. You're fucking.
I
No,
think,
and-
yeah, if things go wrong at such a depth, like, yeah, the most likely result is just...
There's a quote that's going around from like the CEO guy. He said like, "Too much safety at a certain point is just waste," and I think at this point it's maybe a cautionary tale. You can never be too safe if you got to go fucking visit the Titanic.
Yep.
Man, how many more lives is that fucking ship going to
Seriously,
claim?
That's crazy.
It's like, look,
I
a
would
couple of
recommend
thousand people went down with it in
not
100
putting
years ago.
Titanic on
Great.
anything that goes into the water ever. Don't write Titanic on anything that goes in the water.
It's cursed.
Yeah.
So let it
Doctor
go.
Who has a great episode on that. Voyage of the Day.
David Kelly says, with all these movie remakes, when will we get the Brokeback Mountain remake starring Gal Gadot and Margot Robbie? Hail the Fellowship.
That'd be
There's
one
a
I
movie.
watch.
Yeah, I'd pay to see that
Yeah.
one.
Maybe crowdfund
Yeah.
it. I don't know.
Asher Dales says, what is Sony doing with yet another entry into their Spider-esque with Kraven? Looks like a pile of mediocrity trying to jam itself into the Marvel cash pit. At least it looks to be rated R.
Why are they making that?
The complete wrong era. It's too late to
Bad
release
timing.
that.
And I do like that character, but you know they're gonna botch it completely.
Yes.
Whatever the way the movie looks, like what they're making is like you guys, you were too late to the party. You like wandered into a different.
It looks
time.
like the Hasselhoff Nick Fury TV movie.
And it's Aaron Taylor Johnson, isn't it? Because he was kind
Yeah.
of... He got himself some cred after doing Bullet Train. I thought he was really
Yeah.
good in that. Everyone seemed to like him. And yeah, I think he's just
This
gonna
one is not going to
squander it.
help. Yeah.
Nope, it will not.
Phoebe Waller-Habsburg says, oh yeah, my dearest drinker, what an honor it is to finally speak to the sexy Scot himself. I know how excited you are for my latest film offering. I can tell you from working with Kathleen Kennedy over the years and on previous projects, this destruction of beloved IPs is intentional. She finds it hilarious. It's a giant screw you to the men who helped to get her to the top. It's still their names etched in history attached to these now garbage properties. I think there's a lot of truth to that, Phoebe Waller-Habsburg. Thank you. Thanks for the insight. Bryn Black says, can't wait for your Rambo comic. Yes, I got the final page proofs for that just
Nice.
today. And they all look pretty good, so I'm happy with it. So I think it's pretty much ready to go now. I've approved it. So we'll see how it goes. Weirdo with a cello says, there's a power in Dragon Ball Z called Final Flash. It took forever to charge up, fired with a lot of spectacle, and had no effect on its target. I find the parallels amusing.
There's like 3 episodes for that bitch to charge. I remember that. Holy fuck, that show was just milk shit, man. Did fuck all after all that. Yes, good point.
JS Pena says, late and bros. I know, what can we say? Matt G says, MauLer is not wrenched in chat. Unbelievable, you're fired.
Yeah. Drinker is fired for not wrenching me. True.
Yeah, I'm going to excuse myself from my own show. See yous. I'll do a couple more and then finish up. Burntown says, late and British cigarettes. Oh, I see what you did there. Cody Griffin says, watched Conan the Destroyer the other day. Maybe I'm getting older, but I honestly didn't think it was half bad. I mean, it's no Barbarian, but I'd gladly watch Destroyer over any modern Hollywood movie today. It's got a charm. I'll say that to it. Britt Cormier for $50 says, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is the greatest Western ever made. So much of the story is told without words. Sergio just using his camera and letting the audience know what is where and what's happening. No stupid one-liners until the final gunfight. I mean, there is one, is there not, where he shoots the guy from the bathtub, like when the guy's been threatening him for ages. He's got the drop on him, and he's like when you want to shoot someone, just shoot. Don't waste your time talking.
Yep.
It was kind of a modern day quippy joke, but it worked pretty well.
It did.
I'll do one more. Cody Griffin says, oh no, sorry, I just did that one. Yeah, Cody Griffin said, also saw Extraction 2, highly enjoyable, mind-numbing, balls-deep action. Loved it. It's probably the best way to describe it, I would say. Good fun. But yeah, I will probably finish up there because we did quite a few super chats tonight. I want to say to you gentlemen, thank you for coming on tonight to the open bar. It's been awesome to have all of you guys on board. I know, Eric, you've obviously got ISOM 2 running at the moment for pre-order. Yeah, is there anything else you want to tell everyone about it? Because we've got the link in the description for anyone who wants to pre-order it.
Oh, no, that's it, man. They can visit that link, ripperverse.com, and get in on the pre-order campaign if they want. We also, of course, have our first animated kind of a production through Ripperverse Studios that they can check that out as well. That's all live on the campaign page. And yeah, I'm just appreciating all the support. We did recently roll out a little donation effort as well, working with Comic Books for Kids. So you can basically pay for the book for almost nothing, and also get those books donated to Comic Books for Kids, which is a organization that specializes obviously in getting comic books in the hands of cancer patients as well as kids that are in hospitals. So we already are almost at like 800 books donated. So you guys are awesome, and yeah, I just appreciate the hell out of you all.
Thank you, man. Jedi Brooks, this has been your first time on the bar, and like, thank you for coming on for this tonight, man.
First
Hopefully
time on
you've
any
enjoyed
podcast,
it.
man. First
Really?
time on anyone. Yeah.
Really?
No, I've been around since the TLJ Game of Thrones fuckery, like trying to hustle and trying to get the channel off the ground. And yeah, this has definitely been the first opportunity to really, like, you know, be able to communicate with some other YouTubers. So thanks. Honestly, it would have never happened without Drinker shouting me out. So really appreciate it.
No, it's been a pleasure to have you on, man. And yeah, again, the link to your channel's in the description there. He's produced some great videos recently. Like I say, especially the one about Ironheart and Tony Stark. It's good stuff, man. And I'm sure you're going to have a lot more success going forward.
Hopefully. If I could just shout out one video in particular, I've got different types that you can check out. Long form analysis. If any, yeah, there you go, MauLer. There you go. The longest one I ever made though was the desecration of Jon Snow. It took every bit of me to fucking get that video out, and basically chronicling the rise and fall of Game of Thrones from the very beginning to the end, and doing it from Jon Snow's perspective. So for anyone who hasn't actually seen like Game of Thrones and doesn't want to spend 8 seasons going through it, you can get a good idea of what really happened to get context through that video. And there's plenty of others to be able to check out. So hopefully.
Don't talk about analyzing the end of Game of Thrones. You're gonna get everyone mad at me again.
Oh, fucking hell, man. Don't even get me started on that.
One day you'll do it, MauLer. We know it.
One day.
Gary, thanks for coming back, man. Like, I feel like you're practically a co-host on this. You're very generous with your time for coming on these things, man, but I really appreciate it.
No one says no to the Drinker. Happy to be here. Thanks, Chad.
Plenty of women have.
Don't remind him of that.
Those who try the most fail the most. Drinker.
Yeah.
There you go.
But
Thanks
no,
for
thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And
That's it.
hey, there we go. And well, we got the Critical Doggo as well. We'll see what he's got to say.
How much?
Not a huge amount there. Good input, Smokey. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Thanks for the sub.
Right. Anyway, well, thank you all you guys that have sent us all these awesome super chats. Any of the ones that we didn't get through tonight, we will get through them on our super chat catch-up stream, which MauLer and I always do. And thank you to my mods. Hopefully, we got Mr. Brown over 2,500 subs. I think we got him past it. He's about 2.6 now, so that's all good stuff. But yeah, for now, that is all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.
Cheers.